up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Celtic Warrior Shane.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Boom! We are doing it, guys. Welcome to episode 1. We're running a little late. It's just first episode jitters. Episode 1 can be absolutely nerve-wracking. It's just trying to get things in order, get things together. But the crew is all here this time. You got me at Ref Marsh. You got producer at WOTR the show. Producer, say hi.
I'm not.
She's not mic'd. She's pissed.
Ooh.
Oh my God. Here we go.
Get everything set, and you keep doing that.
Trying to get everything. We've been getting things set for 2 hours. But, okay. We also got with us, as always, at Amanda Jane. Say hello, Amanda.
Hello. Happy Tuesday. And Thursday. See, look, I pre-gamed and I'm already.
Ooh.
Oh, God, it's going to be a good
We have no idea what day it is. I like
yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And making his triumphant return, I think. I don't remember if you were on last week or not, man. I don't remember.
I was not, and I'm upset because I got some New Wave coffee. I was going to rant about it.
Ooh.
Tastes like
Hell
3-day-old Folgers, but what's up? I got some. So, I'm kidding. No, it's fantastic.
You're not supposed to eat it raw, dude. Like, I ate a spoonful, not happy about it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Klump made it. Klump is back. Say hi, Klump. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I hope you all are well. Glad to be back. Sorry for the delay. As I said, got some coffee. It is decent coffee.
Good, guys. Well, let's talk about it up front then. You already brought it up. We are still sponsored by New Wave Coffee, NOOWAVE. Flow State Coffee is specialty grade coffee with L-theanine and raw cacao for productivity and creativity, better energy, focus, and mood than a regular cup of coffee, while decreasing the negative side effects like anxiety and blood pressure. Klump, I've really enjoyed this coffee. I like that it has a bit of a chocolatey taste to it going in. I drink my coffee primarily black. I know that you drink yours primarily with ice cream. What do you think about this coffee now that you've had it?
I mean, I have drastically cut down my intake of half and half. So it is like we'll call it like a medium tan, like a khaki color for my coffee now.
That's a good point. Khaki.
Yeah, it's like Dockers colored. And it is fantastic. I do get that little bit of chocolate to it. I get that I get like notes of truffle, which I really like. It's very, very good. I mixed a little bit like the last of my Death Wish coffee with like the first pot I made, which that was an experience. That was really cool because yeah, I felt like my blood pressure trying to rise, but my body being like, no, we're not allowing you to do that. But the Death Wish is like, no, fuck you, we're doing this.
Death Wish is all, we're going nitrous, motherfucker. And then New Wave's all like, whoa.
Chill out. No, meth.
Whack is whack, yo.
We're a delightful drink. We are not the portal to a fourth dimension. Yeah. That's awesome. So I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you're liking it. It showed up fast, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I was like, yeah, be here in about a week. And then I looked and it's like, this is already in Phoenix. Wow. So it's going to be here in a week. So it's going to sit in Phoenix for 5 days. And then, no, it's there the next day, which that was very cool. And I appreciate that prompt fast shipping. You know, that was awesome.
Yeah, very cool. And good guy.
If we
really
buy a
good guy
watch on
behind it.
Twitter, does it get that fast prompt?
No. If you buy a watch on Twitter, I was going to actually say, I appreciate you bringing this up, Amanda. The process is you select a buyer, and they correspond with a factory that has, we'll call it handcrafted your Rolex. By hands, I mean many of them probably handcuffed to the bench, but handcrafted nonetheless. Then that watch is taken by a courier, we'll say a body carrier, but courier nonetheless, and carefully hidden, concealed, smuggled into the U.S. What's funny is if you've ever bought something from Wish or Alibaba, it all goes through the same city, which is the funniest thing to me. It all goes to Rosemead, California.
That's really interesting.
Every
That's a
time,
weird
like
That's a really specific place. That's not really a port city, I don't think. So it's really specific.
no, but every
Yeah.
time I'm like, why is it like it like has transfer information Rosemead? I'm like, why Rosemead?
Well, yeah. Well, isn't Roseview like, inland?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
like
I mean-
it's like 30 miles from the coast. Like it's
Oh,
in
like
the
kind of like
greater Los Angeles. It's like halfway to Palm Springs,
okay, like Rancho Cucamonga and all that crap.
north.
North. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Calm
guys,
down.
don't forget, if you use promo code CHEERS for New Wave Coffee, NOOWAVE.co.co, newwave.co, use promo code CHEERS to get an additional 10% off their ongoing sale right now. They'll take another 10% off right off the top. And if you get the subscription, the promo code does work for the subscriptions as well. It takes an additional 10% off the first bag, but not the following bags. So, guys, check them out. New Wave Coffee. Like I said, the CEO of New Wave Coffee, as it were, is an indie wrestler out in Florida, and he was trained by Lance Storm. So support him, support wrestling, support us. It's all good, man. Win, 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 win. Justin Time does say in the chat, conflicting coffees are a dangerous combination. He's looking out for you, Klump. He's concerned.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Justin for that.
Yep. Let's see,
I'm
I
not
heard Leah
planning on
Moonlight
making
was in
30.
there,
It's
but
okay.
I didn't see what it says. Still can't see what it says. Cheers to Leah Moonlight. Thank you for coming through. Can I have that drink? You can? Let's see. As far as any news goes, that's it. I'm good. Okay, go eat. I asked for the can fucking minutes ago. God damn, she's walked away, guys.
Now's your time to fart, and she can just be surprised when she returns.
That's a good point. That's actually a great point. I might see if I can squeeze something.
Don't.
Let me see. Don't.
Might follow through.
I might force something to happen.
Oh,
Let's see. A couple of things happen here in the news.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Are we not knowing what you're drinking? What can you were holding? in
Oh.
your hand?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
let's see. Well,
expensive.
I just got my drink here. I'm going to have to start the night off. Coors Light.
Interesting.
Yeah, I found out it's a beer I
When
can
did you
have on
become my
keto.
dad?
You know, I've always been disappointed in you, Klump.
Again. When?
Yeah, I'm having
you
Coors
always
Light.
have these like. I mean, I've been a fan of Coors Light, but like, you always have these like unique special. I think that's what Amanda's, and I would get at here. You always have these kind of unique, special, weird, foo drinks, and then it's like, I got Coors Light. The fuck are you, Stone Cold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Mick Ultra Light. That was the new one for a while for a lot of people out here in California. I'm like, really?
If I were
Ultra
to pick,
Light? Really? The light? Oh.
if I was to pick a mainstream beer for Marsh, he's got to be Miller High Life. He's a champagne of beers guy.
No, I think he's a PBR dude.
Ooh.
I don't know why. Something about Marsh says he's a PBR man.
Marsh, do you have beard oil or mustache wax? Like within 20 feet of you?
I'm just trying to find out when I'm going to be allowed to continue the show, or if you guys are just going to keep on this thing.
You can answer that question. I mean that determines if you're a PBR guy.
Or I could just answer the question. It's just up to you guys on how this is going to go, it turns out. Let's see. I've been given beard oil as a gift, but the thing is, the PBR is disgusting, and I would never drink
okay.
it because I like to enjoy my drinks.
Oh,
And if I don't
okay,
like the
sorry.
flavor of something, then I stop drinking it. Because there's no point in forcing yourself to like something that you don't like already. I don't believe in Stockholm Syndrome of drinks, because I don't think it's as important what you're drinking as it is who you're drinking with. So I think there's a drink out there for everybody. You can find what you like. You don't have to choke it down until you go, well, now I'm used to it, so it's not so bad. You're drinking the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Just in time coming through and just letting loose a storm of gift subs to everybody. Pa, 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 pa. Cheers. Cheers to Justin. Thank you so much for coming through. It looks like Chaotic Cred Fox PR. Yeah, I just don't know how I'm supposed to shorten that up to say a thing. I'm going to say Red Fox. That's what it is. Chaotic Red Fox. That's what it is. Red Fox, thank you for coming through. Cheers. Just deciphering it all. Guys, we know what I'm drinking. What are you drinking, Amanda? What's in your glass?
Well, I did pregame. Today it was Cheetos lemon drops. I had 3 of them. They were excellent.
Cheetos lemon drops?
Yeah.
Cheetos?
Tito's.
Oh, Tito's.
Oh, thank
And a
God.
T, not Cheetos. Oh my God. No.
As a recovering alcoholic, I was going to say you might have a problem if you're drinking those, and I'll get you a sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're
Oh.
mashing up Cheetos into your lemon drops, I was like, oh my God.
No, that was no. That's a waste of vodka.
If
But-
anything, you'd put it into a line and snort it, and then chaser the lemon drop.
I don't know, but all I know is so right now I'm cooking it, and guess what? I have a burger again because I'm at the undisclosed location. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
6
Klump?
stories under a vault. Hi, I am
What's in your
having
glass?
coffee. Bad Dragon sponsored coffee.
Bad Dragon coffee. Sounds good.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like it gets
is that
you.
new wave coffee?
It is fantastic.
So Red Fox does say that it's Arizona Peach just changed their name finally. So
Nice.
thank you, Arizona Peach, for coming back through. We'll call you Red Fox from now on. Well, let's see, guys. Let's get into some of this.
Yeah.
A couple of things. Did you guys get a chance to see this happened about a week and a half ago, where Florida put out a thing looking for the identity of a man they had pictures of who had stolen a bag and what appeared to be a title belt from the Thunderdome. Let's see, what's the official location of that? Tampa. I forget
Isn't
the name
it
of the
Rays
building.
Stadium?
Yes. So it was stolen out of there. The Yingling Center. That's what it's called. They posted these pictures and said, hey, if you know about this guy stole some property in a bag, and you're looking at it, you're like, is he holding a fucking title belt? Like, you look at the pictures. Well, a lot of people were speculating what it was and whose it was. And then the other day, Sheamus finally posted, a lovely fella stole my cross, and posted a picture of his big cross that he wears. And said, on camera below, I'd appreciate it if you internet sleuths could track it down and return it via details below. Ringside seats reward when we return to your town, and many beers. I'll be honest, that makes me want to fly to Florida, find this guy, beat the shit out of him so I could have some beers with Sheamus.
Oh yeah.
You know?
You didn't have to kick his ass. No. That was free. That came with it.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't have to. But here we are.
That was a shot of Jameson. That was just added. Yeah. Double shot.
100%. So yeah, dude, it's just wild. It was Sheamus's thing, and then that provided a whole lot of clarity on what that thing that looked like a title belt was. It was the fucking U.S. title.
Oh.
Dude fucking jacked the U.S. title in Sheamus's gear bag. How fucked up, dude.
That's un-American.
It's really weird. You know what I also... That's really funny. You know what's also fucked up is the amount of people who are trying to be smartasses on the internet being all like, I don't see anything wrong here. It's likely just somebody who was fired from the company just coming back to get their stuff, and now there's all this reporting. And then it comes out, it's like Sheamus like, no, they stole my stuff. And everyone's like, oh, well, never mind then. You guys like fucking jump to conclusions like crazy. Just assume that everything bad that happens to WWE is well deserved, and everything going on is their own fucking fault. And no, you know what I mean? Like, let's let the story play out. So yeah, I think it's a bummer that his stuff got stolen. He's such a dope dude. Anything you want to say about the? Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, on a similar point, when they had that latest round of releases, Corbin had a tweet that I thought was really kind of poignant. He's like, I can't believe people are wishing I got fired. How like people like adding this like layer to all of these stories where they like, it's just bad dumb jokes about, oh, well, it's probably somebody that got fired or this or that. Like, no, just shit happens. Like, It sucks. You don't have to try and make it funny. Help the dude out.
Yeah, 100%. Not only do you not have to make it try and be funny, you also just don't have to try and blame somebody specifically or be an ass about it. Yeah, exactly, Amanda. Like you said with Corbin, why are people's response to, like, this person got fired? Should have been this person. Well, I thought your outrage was that they were firing somebody at all. Like, why are you starting to
Yeah.
pick and choose who you're going to support and who you're not? Like dicks. Go ahead, Amanda. What are you going to say?
Yeah, people are just dumb. But I don't know. The fans are really interesting. I think we're becoming, and I don't know, maybe we're feeling like we're entitled almost. These people that are on the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, for those who don't know. But I don't know. It's insane, like what comes out of people's mouths.
On a different note, it does look like Brutus the Barber Beefcake is at a doctor's. Says he's with shortness of breath and headaches. Says BP 170 over 110. This is really specific, but it's coming from his wife. She tweeted out and said, pray for him. So that's the last thing I saw about it. It was this morning. I haven't seen an update yet.
I commented a little prayer hands and she liked it.
And that was barely about a day ago. So no update yet. So just keep him in your thoughts. You know, if you pray, pray. If you don't pray, then don't. But put out that good energy and vibe, and hopefully we see him down the road here and nothing bad happens.
Yeah.
He was just on A&E Treasure Hunt, Hidden Treasures. Really cool. It was him and Greg the Hammer, and they were just goofing off, and it was really cool.
Nice. I got one to add on for news. Kari Sane received her certificate in sports health, or is a sports mental health trainer in Japan. She put a tweet out. Yeah. For
Fantastic.
basically, it sounds like it's kind of like a sports psychologist.
Yeah.
And she did tweet out that it was after, or she used the word, after a sad incident involving an important junior colleague. So unfortunately, it's taken a very negative situation, it sounds like, and creating positives from it. That's awesome. And Kari Sane is just a friggin' badass and too good for this earth. Yeah.
Do you think that has to do with Hannah?
A lot of people are speculating it. They did tweet out like a flower emoji with it, which kind of a lot of people use to symbolize Hana. But part of me also, like, my interpretation is, honestly, there could be several talents and several promotions that it could relate to.
Yes.
This is an injury-filled and difficult industry, and there are a lot of people that can get hurt in a lot of different ways. And no matter what it comes from, though, it's just a fantastic way to respond to a rough situation, is to work to do better by it all.
Yeah, 100%. There's no better reason than another reason, but it is nice that she saw what she believed to be a void in the industry and has gone out of her way to do something about that and be that fill. Like you said, she's too good. Imagine that, though, of all people, like Kari Sane, you know, like the idea of, let's say you're struggling through stuff and it's like, I better call Kari. You know what I mean? Like, especially out in Japan, like, what a voice to have on your side. So
yeah,
really cool. That's awesome. Anything you want to say about that, Amanda?
No, I just think that's just phenomenal. I mean, I wish that the locker rooms had more people that would do something like that, because then maybe people like, you know, Kylie Ray, biggest example I can think of, like right now, that if she had a, you know, a little buddy like that might have helped, you know, her with it, whatever her mental health situation is, and for a lot of people, actually.
Yeah,
I think as time goes on, like, as we're hearing less and less about the locker rooms being, you know, these spaces where there's an atmosphere that could be kind of toxic from the sound of it, but that doesn't mean you won't have people struggling. And if anything, the struggles people are having are becoming more open, and we have a lot of people advocating for it. And hopefully we'll see less of the sad endings we've seen with so many performers through people like Kari and other people we see who are just being open and talking about the struggles they deal with.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, it does sound like the locker rooms could be getting better from some degree, but at a certain degree, it's like people are still people, and they're going to struggle for whatever reason. Even if it's not
Always.
shitty in the locker room, doesn't mean there's not shitty stuff somewhere else. So to have that
Well,
support is awesome.
Well, and like, and I'll throw out, like, myself. I've for a long time struggled with mental health issues, and it's been like my probably biggest battle in my adult life. You could have the best world around you, and it just can be this inescapable crushing weight that really just brings you down. No matter how wonderful everything is, but I think the way that everything's being brought into the open now, people are talking about the rules, is just so good for everyone. I mean, I'll say for myself, it's been at times a positive thing to see. Like, it's kind of funny. There's a like therapy and like meditation app I use, and they've had like a partnership with WWE of late. So there's been like videos of like Braun Strowman talks about depression and bullying, and I'm like, that's okay. Did he eat his bullies?
Yeah.
I would love Braun Strowman. But like but on a serious note, it was really, really cool to see it. Or Bianca Belair, and like having people just talk about that, and little things there. It does help out, for me at least. It's a cool thing to know that you're not alone in certain things.
Yeah, especially the voice of somebody like a Braun Strowman, because you go, holy shit, you're 400 pounds of meat castle. How could someone bully you?
Huge. You're
Yeah,
tall.
but when you hear the story, a lot of bullying doesn't come from physical size bullying. It comes from emotional beating someone down, right? You can make someone feel small emotionally and mentally. So to hear him speak out on that, it's like, even our superheroes, as it were, can still go through and still struggle with that stuff. So it just lets you know that, like, no one's impervious, and it's something that should be, taken seriously, and something that should be looked at. And the idea that Kari Sane saw a need there and said, I could do that. It's amazing.
It is possible that there's a 600-pound bully to Braun Strowman, and that is more frightening to me.
He got bullied by an alligator or something.
Just,
You never know.
what is this mountain of a man?
On a similar note, Titus O'Neil has been named a finalist for ESPN's 2021 Sports Humanitarian Award. He's going for the Muhammad Ali Sports Humanitarian Award, which is presented by Dove Men in Care. Man. So, but it is given to an athlete whose continuous demonstrated leadership has created a measured positive impact on their community through sports. The candidate must embrace the core principles that Muhammad Ali embodied so well, including confidence, conviction, dedication, giving, and respect. So he's a finalist. So if you guys have the opportunity, I think, is this one of those ones where you can go vote?
I'm looking right now, actually.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it, but it might be. So if you have the chance to try and vote, go ahead and do it. Titus O'Neil's awesome. I could have sworn he'd won once before, but I'll tell you, even if he has, give him another one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those things stack.
Oh yeah. You can have like tons of, Oscars and Grammys and all of that. You can rake in the Muhammad Ali honor, because that's a huge honor,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Two-time. So, that's all I really had for news. Amanda, there was something you said you wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, but before I say that, happy birthday to Murder Grandpa
Yes.
Minoru Suzuki. Yes. He's what now? What? I don't
53.
even know. How?
53. I looked it up and I had it in my notes too.
Okay, 53.
Yeah, cheers.
And when you look at the guy, you're like, holy shit. And that guy still scares the fuck out of me. So cheers to Suzuki-san. Kanpai.
Cheers. Cheers.
If you don't know who I'm talking about and why I'm calling him Murder Grandpa, you need to watch some New Japan. I think Klump will agree with me with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure. Justin does say in the chat, it isn't Thursday if Amanda doesn't have a burger. So
I do.
you
Haven't eaten yet.
there you go. Amanda, go ahead and take it. What was it you wanted to bring up?
Yeah. So yesterday, I'm not sure if people are aware, but yesterday, ACH, who was Jordan Miles in NXT, has now retired. For me, it's come as a shock because of his journey since he was released from WWE. And he's had one hell of a journey. And I know we're talking about mental health, and this kind of ties in with things. I know most people were going to remember the whole, I don't even want to call it the shirt debacle, where, you know, he thought it was racist, and, you know, WWE was like, well, you know, we showed you a bunch of shirts and you agreed to it, and all of that. And it kind of started sending him on a weird spiral. Yeah. Now, I don't know what it was. I don't think anyone really knows except for himself. But there were a lot of people on the internet, which I didn't understand, they supported him. And then people are going, you know, stop whining, you know, because the internet wrestling community likes to have that, you know, you can't, you know, you're always going to have someone who's for something and against something. And so I think a lot of the I guess, you know, the negative parts about it and things like that, I think that probably bothered him, because I guess he probably felt like, you know, these people are, you know, basically saying that, you know, oh, it's fine to, you know, monetize like my culture and monetize whatever. And you're saying it's fine and I should just shut up. And I think that, you know, if it's like, if you don't understand like a struggle like that, like being a person of color in particular, or same with, you know, LGBTQ community people, if you don't really know and have been there and understand it and have had, you know, something that you can kind of relate to, then it's like you shouldn't comment. And especially, you know, in this day and age. But it was really sad, because then he stopped wrestling altogether. And and I know that I saw one day, I was on Instagram, saw an Instagram live, and he was on, and I'm like, whoa, okay, we haven't seen him in a while. And I turned it on, and most people who do know him, he's always very smiling and happy. He's such a positive person, you know, like he's one of these people where, you know, he's really truthful and honest, and he's such a nice person, you know. And it was weird because his disposition was totally different. His pattern of speech was kind of slow and kind of, you know, kind of depressive sounding. And he was just like, you know, they took something I loved and it ruined it for me. And I don't know what to do with my life now. And it was only a few minutes long. And, but it was very disturbing. I know people who know him had seen it, and they were blown away, because they're like, that's not who I know. And, you know, and he was refusing help. So eventually he did seek treatment on his own. And he kind of dipped his feet back into wrestling with GCW, and predominantly at the collective that they did. So the first For the Culture, and all of those programs that they had around there, he kind of cemented himself in and was looking great. Because for a while there, he was looking like totally not in shape. Like, you know, if you know ACH and you've seen his body, I mean, there's abs for days. You know, the guy's very muscular, and he turned into like a little butterball. So when he first came back, it was a little weird, but then he was getting back into the swing of things. And next thing you know, he was doing New Japan USA and did a couple of those shows. And I thought, you know what? He's probably going to go maybe back to Japan, or he's going to do the New Japan USA thing. But no, then all of a sudden he just kind of announces it out of the blue. And to me, it's very sad, because he's such an amazing wrestler. His talent is just, wow. I mean, again, he's one of those, a flippy dippy guy that, you know, has control, and it looks really, really good. You know, his work rate is just amazing. And I think that at the end of the day, I think maybe mental health is really kind of what made him retire. I don't think he'll be like Leo Rush and say, I'm retired, and then come back again and then retire like for the 20th time. But definitely I wish him well, because I don't know what he's going to do in the future. It would be great if he were like training people, because I think a lot of people can learn from him a lot of different things. And he's, so good luck to you, Albert, whatever you end up doing.
Yeah.
So,
cheers. See you down the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those cases where we've talked about it before, but like where I know that we talk about cancel culture, and we've had people in the chat even say that they prefer to be called accountability culture, because no one's trying to cancel anybody. They're trying to make people accountable. And I hear the argument, but there's so many cases like ACH where specifically something happened here. He got a huge negative response, eventually had to look within, sought help and received help. And when he came back, people said, no, we're not taking you back. We're not accepting the idea that you can grow or become better. To me, accountability is also expecting growth. If you're holding someone accountable, you expect them to take responsibility and learn and grow from it. The cancel culture is the side of things where that's not what they want. They want to feel good about stopping someone from succeeding in life. To me, there's the difference, right? It's cancel culture if there is no end game, if there is no desired result. We need to stop this person. Okay, is there any way that there's anything acceptable that they could do that you'd accept them back? And if the answer is no, then you're not looking for accountability. You're looking to feel better than them. Accountability would say, yeah, absolutely. If they found themselves responsible, if they did the steps necessary to become better, maybe it's not 2 months, maybe it's not 6 months, it might be 10, 15 years down the line. It could take a long time to get better, but not allowing someone the opportunity to become a better person on the other side of it, that's when you know that there's absolutely a difference between holding someone accountable and just trying to feel better than someone else. Justin Time says, just saw some big news. Oh, yep, here we go. I just saw it too. We'll see what you say about it. WWE announced on their Twitter we're going to get Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio in Hell in a Cell for the Universal Championship tomorrow night instead of Hell in a Cell. I don't know, are you guys, either of you guys even keeping up with the weeklies on WWE side?
Not really.
Yeah.
I never do.
Yeah, I didn't think you did, so it's not like you guys have much to say. I will say this. I know that the only other match that's been booked for Hell in a Cell is Drew versus Bobby. It's really peculiar for me that on a pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell, where you only have 2 of the matches announced so far to take place in a cell, that one of those is going to be happening the Friday before the pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell. It's
That's
super
dumb.
peculiar. Something's up. Something's going to happen. I don't know if that means we get a different Hell in a Cell match there. I don't know if that means that Bobby and Drew go fucking an hour and a half or something.
Oh, Lord.
That's what I mean. It's this Sunday. SmackDown's on Friday. So 2 days before the pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell, one of your 2 matches in a Hell in a Cell will be on beforehand. So I just don't understand it. I feel like you'd move any match to SmackDown except for the ones in a cell.
But, well, my question is then, it's like, well, what could be happening if you're moving the guy that you're kind of pushing hard, Roman, what could be so, I don't want to say important, but what could really eclipse that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because Cena didn't come back. Like, I thought maybe Cena would come back, because Fast 9, but he did not. So, yeah. He'll be back.
Yeah. It does make me wonder, though. I think it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in Hell in a Cell. I think it's more interesting to see what happens at Hell in a Cell because of what happens on SmackDown than the fact that it's gonna be on SmackDown. I'm more interested to see what happens after the fact. Just in time to say, watch them put Rhea and Charlotte in a cell. I know one person told me they think that it is. I hope it's not.
Did she get more plastic surgery? She looked really bad. There was a picture she posted on, I don't know if it was Twitter or Instagram, and I did not recognize her at all.
Was it the one with her and Andrade?
No, she was by herself, and she was in some like one piece, like flamey looking.
She's definitely lost a lot of weight. I can't tell you anything about somebody and their surgeries or not. Someone asked her and she said no. I don't know. I'm not a part of any of that, and I try not to look at that stuff too much. I do know that it's very clear she's lost a lot of weight, and I do know that losing weight can it can make you look a little different in the face for sure if you lose weight in the face. So I don't know,
this
but
was
yeah,
a
she
lot
does look
different.
different than she looked.
This was a lot different.
Yeah, Klump, what were you about to say?
I was gonna say, like, thinking like about this pay-per-view, like I've seen so many things about SummerSlam. I've seen nothing about Hell in a Cell. I was watching NXT and they're like, Hell in a Cell this weekend. I was like, the fuck? Like it I didn't know it was coming at all. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be this Sunday. We're hoping to do a watch along with Terrible Wrestling Takes with Bishop. He'll be on. So just so you know, if you go to TW Takes Podcast /TWTs and put in the new code CHEERS, you can get 25% off all of his shirts.
Yeah. Well, what I'm wondering, speaking about with SummerSlam, is Hell in a Cell, are they going to have people viewing like they did for In Your House, for NXT?
No, my understanding is Hell in a Cell is the last one in a Thunderdome.
Oh,
and then they're moving forward.
Well, maybe then that's really why the big hype is there. They're going to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge thing. Like, part of me is like, I wonder if they'll do a takeover, and part of me wanted to go and just go to NXT and GCW, who's in town that week. So,
for sure.
Yeah,
there's some stuff going on over there. Although the GCW show, I'm pretty sure, is happening at the same exact time as the SummerSlam show, from what I saw.
Yeah, but I would go to that. I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
because I think you're going to get Mox versus Gage.
Gage.
Yeah, at that show.
There's a good chance of that because Mox is in Vegas. So.
Yep, exactly. And Renee just popped out the little one.
Just had a little baby.
Yeah, cheers, congratulations. I'm sorry, that was his speech. Cheers. Because he's doing her podcast now. He's sitting in for her.
Yeah, I heard it was really good. Worth checking out. The other thing AEW announced was that they're going to be doing a show in New York it looks like a football stadium.
No, it's the freaking where they do the tennis, the Arthur Ashe thing where they do the U.S. Open.
Oh, the U.S. Open. All right. I mean, it's really big. The U.S. Open's huge.
Weird.
It's an interesting idea for a venue. Like, there's not many venues like that, but that is actually, like, when you think about it, kind of like the perfect venue for a wrestling match. Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, like it's super tight, but packed really high. Like, for a wrestling match, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great point. The setup of it in of itself. I think a lot of people are going to be watching the attendance on this one. I think a lot of people are going to be gauging AEW's success based off of this event. If they can't fill it up, people are going to take note. If they do fill it up, people are definitely going to take note. I just wonder.
It's New York. I mean, people, you got to think of it this way. If I live in Pennsylvania, I could go to that show. If I lived in Rhode Island, hell, if I lived in damn Delaware, I could go to that show.
And I think it was New Jersey, the show that they had that got canceled before COVID. It's supposed to be a big New Jersey show. But that was the whole point. If you remember, when they were first touring, they were only hitting the East Coast because they could draw a lot of people from a lot of states to their shows.
Because you can drive.
So the idea that it's in New York is smart in that regard. But that's a really big venue, and they were having a really hard time filling the Dailies place. So it's just one of those things where you just don't know. You don't know. And Florida could have just been in a state where they just weren't coming out to shows for COVID reasons, or how many times is somebody going to go back to back to back, and they weren't going anywhere else. So I think there's a lot of factors there. But I do think it's really interesting they got a tennis stadium, and I do think that a lot of people are going to be watching to see what the attendance is like, and I think it'll be cool.
It's going to be interesting because obviously that's going to be right after, a couple weeks after All Out. And, everyone, that's really the flag. I think of any of their pay-per-views that's the one that's really the one. I wish I could go, but.
So wait, it's going to happen a couple weeks after the big pay-per-view? What the fuck are they hosting there?
What?
What's the show going to be? Is it going to be a Dynamite?
I think so.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's interesting.
I know, but it's not any like special pay-per-view, or maybe it's going to be something special on TNT.
Dynamite.
I think they're.
Oh,
I think
Yeah.
TNT, and I will say I think it's smart if they can do it in the right way. It's hard to sell a pay-per-view anymore. It really is, especially when there's no back catalog and your competitors rolled into a $10 a month streaming platform that has literally everything they've ever done. Why
For
would you pay
free.
why would you pay $50 every
Yeah.
effectively like 25, we'll say $20 to $25 for a month for all of their pay-per-views, because it kind of works out to that. If they can do them and make them big events and say put them on Saturday nights on TNT, put them on the app, I don't think it's a bad idea. And I'm sure at some point in the near future, TNT, the Time Warner networks are going to be rolled into probably HBO Max, because that's their ultimate parent is Time Warner, and then you can have AEW there, and that'd be pretty bomb as they continue to build content.
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great, and it would make sense. It wouldn't be a surprise if, remember, the first year they were open. They had that one episode where all the ring posts and the ring aprons had HBO Max all over it. They definitely were trying to, because it was when they turned HBO Max over, when it went from HBO Now to HBO Max.
Oh,
They
yeah.
advertised it huge on AEW. So, yeah, it wouldn't be a shock, and it would be really good. I think not only would it not be a shock, it'd be fantastic. I think that them putting their pay-per-views on something like HBO Max would be light years better than the issues they've been having with the Bleacher Report site, the BR one. Every pay-per-view they have, I just watched Twitter go up where everyone's just like, how do I watch it? I can't find it. My thing keeps freezing. It keeps logging me out. It keeps getting, like, that platform is too big of an issue for them to be this loyal this long to it. They need to move on to a bigger platform that is better for them, and I think HBO is actually absolutely that.
Oh yeah.
And I think it would be a good look for them. It's one thing to say, hey, we're on Fight TV where literally anyone can post stuff. It's the YouTube of fighting stuff.
But you're on
Just-
HBO.
Yeah. But you're on
Yeah.
HBO? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
legit.
Because that's like the boxing was on HBO for for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And I could remember, and yeah, it's a big damn deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. So
I'd
I think it's
actually
cool.
subscribe if they were to do that.
Oh, I hope they're listening. There's one. But yeah, was there anything else news-wise you guys want to talk about?
Oh, did you see that AEW is teasing another belt?
I don't believe they were.
on
but
Twitter.
Tell me what you saw. What did they say?
Well, there's an image on Twitter that is different angles. Well, they have a couple of them now, different angles of a belt. And what I'm curious about is what the heck is that? So
I thought that was a teaser for their announcement today of the new replica title they've released, available
was
for
it?
pre-order. Yeah,
Oh, how
they're
dumb
releasing
is
a
that?
replica title. Okay.
How dumb is that? You're teasing and everyone thought it was another belt, and I was kind of exciting because it gives people more opportunity
Yeah.
to wrestle.
Here's the weird bit too. I mean, it's a replica title. It's on pre-order and it's $699.99. It's
Oh
a
my
$700 replica.
Wow.
I know a lot of people were going back and forth. People who defend it are people who don't buy stuff from WWE, and it's obvious. They go, well, the Bray Wyatt one was $7,000. Like, that was handmade by Tom Savini. Like,
Yeah,
they only
yeah,
made
but-
like
yeah.
5.
Yeah,
He
this is
he
a-
handmade like 5. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So relax on that comparison. WWE
not
does
like
make 3 different
there's a
tiers. They have their commemorative, which is basically a hard plastic, a big toy version. Those ones go for like $100 to $200 depending on which one you're looking at. They make a replica, which is typically about $300 to $400 depending on which title and which sale you're looking at, and that's one that's leather with metal. It's a bit of a harder metal, or not metal, a bit of a harder leather, and the plates are a little thinner than an actual plate. And then they have their elite replicas, which are, depending on the model, that's closer to that $700 to $1,000 range, because the Universal title one has a bunch of like Swarovski crystals in it and shit.
They make it like it is.
It's TV
legit.
quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100%. and it's like pure leather strap. There's no bones about it, but it is TV quality. I don't know what we're getting as far as quality goes on this one. It looks nice from the angle I saw, but $700 is a lot to ask for a title, especially considering I had this one custom made here for less than that. We have our own that I spent less on, and it's my own fucking logo.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, I don't think they were teasing a new title. They were teasing.
Oh, I thought they
title.
were. Oh, I'm dumb. I'm
I
dumb.
gotcha. You got work.
And then all I have to say is, speaking of releasing things, I better get fucking fashion doll Ricky Starks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Changeable suits, little suits, the Gucci slides, the pearls.
They started doing LJNs and they started doing the little wrestling buddies, so it makes sense.
Yeah. And side note, totally not related to AEW, but Ring of Honor did like the wrestling buddies, and they did one with Brody King, and he has a ski mask on. I so want
That's
that.
funny.
So want that. I just had to say. Love
They
it.
also released a little clip of what the wrestling looks like for the new video game, for AEW's video game.
I got Darby Allin looked incredible.
Darby Allin looked fantastic. The gameplay looked pretty solid. And it looked way, way better than the commercial they released, and thousands of percents different than the video that they released before. If you remember, they put out these little teaser things of the video game. This looks nothing like that at all. So it's almost like, I wonder if they scrapped it or if it was just so early they shouldn't have released footage yet. But
Yeah.
this new look looked good. This new look looked a lot good, a lot better.
And even the casino thing, the casino app
Yeah.
has changed quite a bit. I
Okay.
hadn't been on there until yesterday. I went back and looked. I'm like, oh.
All right. All right. Nice. Was there anything that happened in AEW that you wanted to make note of before we move on and talk about TakeOver?
Yeah, after a couple of things. First of all, I do want to say, if you have not seen the clip yet, boy, Ricky Starks can fucking bitch slap a person. Don't know if you should have bitch slapped Brian Cage, but
That was
woo, Lordy, that's one thing. Other thing is, I'm really liking what they're kind of doing with Dark Order. Dark Order's had some really excellent matches on the YouTube TV and even on Dynamite itself. Like, he faced Miro for the TV title. And they were saying that, obviously with, the Dark Order, the TNT title, not TV, TNT title, obviously is special because, Brody Lee had it. So, but Evil Uno looked great in that match. I mean, he's not normally a singles wrestler, but damn, he held his own, and it was a really fantastic match. And he had a great match with Stu Grayson, and it was versus Shane Mercer and KTB, who, if you watch GCW, those might be familiar names. So it's really kind of cool, I think, that they're getting people from all walks of wrestling life, which is awesome. So definitely, I think that that's something to kind of look forward to and to see. So you get that. I'm really kind of loving what they're doing with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. It's about time they were doing something with Scorpio Sky. And I kind of like this storyline for him a lot better than him being the third wheel in SCU. I mean, this right now is the guy is bitter. He's slightly angry, and he's damn good. And so I'd like this Men of the Year thing. So if you haven't seen any of that, you might want to look at that, Marsh, just because the Young Bucks are ridiculous. I'm like, this is getting too out of control. I think all of that with Kenny Omega and all of that stuff, way, way, way out of control. So I'm really hoping that Sami Callihan puts the hurt on him. So if and when that happens. So I think that AEW is...
You're talking about Kenny?
Yeah.
It was just announced 11 minutes ago that Kenny Omega will be facing Sami Callihan at Slammiversary on Saturday, July 17th.
Well, you heard it here first.
Boom. You heard it here first if you didn't hear somewhere else first.
Yep, there you go. Boom.
That's our pledge to you.
All right. So who am I rooting for?
If you hear it here before you hear it somewhere else, then you heard it here first. That is our journalistic integrity and pledge to you.
Yes, because I will say that we've broken many many a news story. I think, isn't there one that happened this week that you called it, Marsh?
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. We do see the future.
You'd have
We
to
are
tell
the
me which one it is.
Nostradamus. Yeah, we're the Nostradamus of the IWC. That's our title.
Well, drunkest.
Yeah,
Nostradrunkest.
Nostradrunkest.
That's me.
Did Marsh call that Chris Paul got COVIDed out of the NBA? No? Okay.
Sometimes I look at people and go, he's going to get COVID.
Yeah.
Sun's
like,
getting close to winning a championship. Fuck that.
Yeah, so that was the end of it. And my only other take with this now is I really hope they sign Willow Nightingale, because she's amazing. And they need women like her on the roster who really can diversify it, for one, and not only that too, but are pretty damn talented and can teach some of these gals, like, who are kind of green, like Kylan King or whatever her name is. I mean, I think that would be a fantastic thing to see those kinds of things happen. So that is your AEW stuff. Tune in again
I've heard
tomorrow.
really good things about her too. So hopefully she does end up over. I've heard really good things about her online.
Oh yeah,
Willow Nightingale. I definitely seen the name this past couple weeks. So
yeah, she's great. But tomorrow again, we're going to see a handicap match where Sting is not allowed to interfere with Darby and the Men of the Year, and that'll be interesting. I wonder if we're going to get snow. I feel cheated because we're not getting snow as much as we were.
Do you think they'll have snow inside the tennis court?
How could you do it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist.
Who knows? I don't know. You know what I am expecting? I'm expecting someone to come out and, like, back in the day when those tennis players wore those little booty type of shorts, I'm expecting somebody to come out like that. Maybe the Young Bucks, and looking absolutely ridiculous with like fringe and whatnot. Yeah, no.
That wouldn't be a surprise at all.
No. Mm-mm. No.
Anything you want to throw in about AEW, Klump?
Nothing I can think of. It sounds. I'm excited for the event in the stadium. I'm hopeful we just get more. I hope that they don't go back to full pay-per-view models. I think they need to really establish a reason to watch their product, and making events on TV mean something with big matches going on, I think works.
I think it could, but I also think it hurts. I do think it hurts, and we're going to talk about that right now because they've been doing that all year, right? AEW's been having their specialized pay-per-view type dynamites where they rename the dynamite. Here comes the snow and all sorts of stuff. But when you get to the pay-per-views, which they've still maintained 4 pay-per-views a year, there's a certain point of, are we looking at a fancy dynamite or are we looking at a solid pay-per-view, right? And I think that if I'm talking about NXT, that's something they've also suffered with over the pandemic. They were trying to have specialized NXTs with like Great American Bash. I don't think In Your House last year was a regular Wednesday, but they've done that a couple times. Halloween Havoc, where it's just a fancy NXT episode with an old pay-per-view name attached to it. But then you also have NXT doing stuff like putting Finn Balor and Karrion Kross on a takeover, and then 2 weeks later on a random, or maybe a month later, I forget, on a random NXT event, there's Balor Cross too. So you start getting used to the idea that these weekly shows can be just as big and just as important as their pay-per-views go. With that in mind, I do feel like In Your House, with as good as it was, I felt like a lot of people were underwhelmed by it strictly because there wasn't a lot about it that was different than what we get on the weekly. Mm-hmm. When I think about NXT and what it used to be a 1-hour show on the network with a lot of talking, 2 matches, maybe 3, for a couple of undercard people to prove that they were relevant and needed to be moving up. And then you'd have the big matches on TakeOver. The TakeOver was always leading into like, hey, they had a couple small matches here and there on the weekly, but now we're going to get a 20-minute match. Now we're going to have a 25-minute match with important people. We get that every week now. So I do feel that, like some people said, because I saw a few people talking about it. They said, has TakeOver lost a little bit of its luster? I don't think so I think that the weekly has upped its game to the point of now it's going to be harder to tell the two apart. Am I way off on this one? I'll start with Klump.
I think it's fair. Like I get where you come from.
I like the show. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I get you, but I don't know. I'd want to throw to Amanda. I don't think I got enough there I can throw at it.
What do you think, Amanda?
Well, it's interesting because I was going to bring up, and I'm skipping way ahead, but next week we're seeing, what is it, Kyle O'Reilly versus Kushida.
Yeah.
And to me, that feels like a kind of like a pay-per-view-y kind of match.
Yeah.
Or am I like smoking crack?
No, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. And I think that it's hard because when you see stuff like that happen, and then, Balor Cross 2, you're like, whoa, like what, why would anyone want to watch a pay-per-view? Or the pay-per-view has to be pretty exciting for me to want to see it, but it did feel like this was kind of like when, like Tuesday night. And, I think that kind of killed a little bit of it, maybe. But then again, I mean, hell, this week's show was great. Some of those matches, and it's like, wow, okay, well, I don't know. It's like you have people, yes, that are really, really great. But at the same time, it's like, if you're going to have something separate and make a big deal out of it, you got to make a big deal about it.
Yeah. I do think this is where like the concept of having pay-per-view quality matches on any given show, this is where we start to feel that, because, like I said, it was a really good show with a lot of really good matches. It did feel like a more important NXT episode, but it didn't feel like the quality was better than you'd get on any random NXT episode. You know what I mean? And a lot of times people were feeling like they were getting the best of the best of the best on takeovers. I feel like at this point we're getting that on the weekly. So now it's just like, well, how important are the matches? Yes, they're important. Therefore, it is a slightly elevated NXT. It's not night and day, because people will talk about how Takeover was the greatest. They've always talked about it.
Oh yeah.
The greatest wrestling shows of the weekend are always Takeover. And I think it's because we see people do stuff we haven't seen them doing. At this point, we're seeing people do stuff we're seeing them do on the weekly. It's just for a more important reason now. Now it's for a title. Now it's for, a diamond belt. You know what I mean? Like, now it's for something. But it's the same matches we've been seeing.
Well, and also, by continually making this, like, trying to challenge yourself to go better than the last one, you get to a point where it's, what more can you do?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's solid shows. I agree with you 100%. There's solid shows. I don't watch a Takeover or NXT Weekly and be like, oh, this is going to suck. But do I feel like blown away like I did when I watched the first War Games? Not really. But then, do I want them to take away stuff from the NXT Weekly show that makes it less good? No.
Yeah, 100%. I think we just have to accept this kind of where it's at. Go ahead.
I do feel like this week's NXT was a really good follow-up to a Takeover in terms of how to build story and maybe set a formula for what you can do moving forward, so that it doesn't have to be a semi-takeover. There was a lot of exhibition matches, there was a lot of building story, there were matches from people that you ain't gonna see on a Takeover, Breezango, and that's okay.
But at the same time, you could, right? They are that
you're
level.
Not gonna see them
champions.
on a Takeover anymore.
They'll be on the pre-show.
They were champions not that long ago. Within the last year, they were champions. So I mean, like,
within the last year,
is
there was a pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not saying that I want them there, but I'm saying like the quality of matches they put on are not ones that would be unbelievably there. I agree with you though. I think they're better on the weekly putting over new talent and helping the talent learn and grow.
Yeah.
But is it possible? Yeah, it's possible.
Fair.
Possible. But yeah. Justin Time brings up a good point. Maybe this is all it really boils down to. This could be the crux of it all, really. He says NXT really needs to go to arenas instead of being confined to the CWC. It would be a start to them feeling different. And that's true, too. The only difference between this one and the one before it was there's no more screens behind it. There was just an extra level of people.
Yeah.
Are you guys as annoyed at the CWC crowd as I am?
Yeah, because they boo for stupid reasons. And, you know, it's the same dudes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to punch you up. And like, when I go in November, I'm definitely going to try to go to NXT. And if I see one of those fuckers, I'm going to punch him in the mouth. Like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about you.
Well,
I feel like go ahead, Klump.
No, go ahead. You go first.
Well, I was just gonna say real quick. I'll pitch it right back to you. That it feels like the crowd's trying to get themselves noticed and themselves talked about, and it feels like that they're so used to it all that they golf clap the things that are important. They go, "Oh yeah, that was nice," but then they go, "Oh, they want me to like this, well I'm gonna boo it," and you're like, "No, it's not to be contrarian." You know what I mean? Like anyone booing MSK is just being a dick for the sake of it. Wouldn't it be funny if we booed them? No, it wouldn't.
No,
it'd be stupid. What are you gonna say, Klump?
I was gonna say, like, I feel it's been a long thing. Like when you look at wrestling Reddit, I always love when the Performance Center gets shit on, and it's not new. It's not pandemic. NXT, when it was weekly shows at Full Sail, it was always hit hard, and the reason was it's the same group of smarky ass fans going. And while that's awesome, like that people can invest and get into it and stuff like that, they're not the demographic. There's something to be said about touring and what people in Paducah, Kentucky like. What do people in Phoenix like? What do people?
Paducah, Kentucky wants to see Ricochet
That's
because he's from
fact.
Paducah, Kentucky.
I know it.
Just gonna say.
But they want to see different things.
Yeah.
This crowd seeing it all, it's like a live studio audience, but they're not investing in it. You know?
Yeah.
It's rough because you go in and they boo the dumbest things. They yell out things they don't seem invested in really anything. And if that's the case, then why the fuck are you here?
Yeah. And then you'd see big things happen and the whole front crowd just sitting there golf clapping, and you're all like, no, get up, man. Like, here's the other deal. I think my big hot take on the NXT crowd is I think the NXT crowds are who to blame for all of your NXT favorites going to the main roster and not succeeding. The NXT crowd is not being honest ever. Yeah. It's hard to tell what's going to actually get over versus what gets over to the Florida NXT crowd. When they do the same thing on the main roster, or when it's clear that the crowd is being ironic because they're smarky as dicks, it's really easy for them to get to the main roster and have whoever's in charge of the main roster creative. We can say Vince, but we can also say there's other people involved. Just going, yeah, no, of course it's not going to work here. NXT just cheers for things because they like to cheer for those things. You know what I mean? It's really easy to dismiss the NXT's reaction.
I don't think it's so much that it's like cheering ironically. Like in some cases, that happens. But I feel like more what bites these people going up to the main roster in the ass is these people are investing in this very small, unique, very controlled storylines. You know, they become the indie darlings, like somebody at a PWG show might if they're there every week, and that's great. But what happens when they go out there? It's not even like an ironic thing. They go out to a changing crowd every couple days, and kids who still want to see John Cena, and parents who are like, that guy's shorter than me, and the event is just not there. And this crowd, by seeing it every week, they can see these stories build up, and that's great, but it just doesn't help. And then right now it's gotten to the point where they're not even helping build their own stuff up because it's just dead. The only real honest to God person I feel like that's over there is Cameron Grimes, and that's because they finally let him be face.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel that way, and it's really
But
weird.
even then, if you heard the crowd, you know, they were the ones who normally boo, they were booing him. And there was a huge contingency of these are Cameron Grimes fans.
Yes.
But those boos were like, okay, you know, we want to go against this. No offense to LA Knight, because I love LA Knight. Don't get me wrong here. Yeah. But it just was weird because I'm like, you know, you guys really control a lot of what's going on. Like apparently, you know, you've gotten to the point where, yeah, you're the litmus test, but you know what? I mean, honestly, like, I really don't think that that's true. I mean, I think and even AEW, sorry, an AEW fan is not a litmus test for whatever. Like, I think that people who, call me an indie snob, but, you know, ones who've, you know, followed some of these guys for a long time and have seen them at their worst and at their best, you know? I mean, that's your litmus test. Like someone like me, like, okay, like, well, what did you think? Well, you know, this person, you know, they're not ready. Like, for example, Sammy Guevara, very green. But
or even think about when you first started watching NXT and you were really concerned about Cameron Grimes because of how big of a fan you were of Trevor Lee, and you're like, I don't see how this is going to work. I don't see how it's going to go. And you were not about it for a while. And then once it clicked. Once he found that groove, and you said that is what he needed to find here. Like
he needed a good storyline, and that was what was missing with Cameron Grimes. And only crow on that one. But yeah, I wasn't about that because I was like, what the fuck? You're just some dude named Cameron Grimes. There's nothing special about you. You don't have a story. Because I always found that the ones who have some really good storylines that are built, that character work, those ones are the best ones. And those are the ones I love to see. So, I mean, when he started doing this and when he came out in that, you know, that old school Lamborghini, I'm like, what the fuck is this? That's why I'm really sold on Tian Sha and all of that. I mean, I'm a sucker for those kinds of things. So, and that's, I think, what makes some of the people stand out. Now, what happens when they go to the main roster? Yeah, sometimes that doesn't translate because main roster people aren't into that. They want something, they want action. They want ooh-ah moments, but a storyline is too much thinking. So I think that, you know, they need it's dumbified.
The most talked about thing on the main roster is Roman Reigns, and if he's not all story, I don't know what is.
Well,
but you're probably right for the most part. There's exceptions.
well, yeah, but even with Roman Reigns though, there's, you know, you get your contingency of, oh, I hate the guy. Then you have people who just love him. And then you have people who just think he's a hot piece of meat. Notice I did not mention gender. It could be anybody. So I think that, you know, I mean, it is what it is. But most people are going to dislike and be like these assholes who boo. They're going to dislike that because that's who the company wants to push. You know, so, I mean, I don't know. It just, I don't think it's that special because I'm trying to think. There's no storyline that I can think of maybe that's on, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, that's going on in WWE that's like a legit, like, I mean, this is a really good story that's kind of in there, embedded. I can't think of anything.
The Roman absolutely comes to mind. It's been going on for almost a year now, but he's been making a lot of callbacks to the last like 6 years of his career. And it intertwined with Daniel Bryan's story and Edge's story. And Edge's story, when he came back with Randy Orton, was completely intertwined and layered and stuff. I'm going to say there's a lot of story there. I do think that it's actually a little bit opposite with NXT, where we see the ones who I think go on to succeed truly on the main roster are the ones like the Cameron Grimes who get the moments to go and really feed into a story with character versus the ones who just go out there and put on really good matches. I've said it a bunch of times on here, starting on episode 1. we can see good matches every single night as much as I want. What I need is a reason to be invested in the match, to care that it's good, and to care about who wins, you know? And let's get into some of those things. MSK and Bronson Reed defeated Legado del Fantasma. I wish I had more to say about this match other than it was just a fantastic match with 6 of the best wrestlers out there. Like, it was just great.
How can you shit on that? I mean, seriously. And golf clap and whatever. It was fantastic. I mean, you're just totally spoiled. I will say that. That's like entitlement, man. I mean, shit, I'd love to see that kind of shit all day, every day. But, you know.
What do you think, Klump?
That was a really good match. I can't think of it. I can't fault anything in it. I think, honestly, it was my favorite match of the night.
That's fair.
Okay.
I'll put it there, and that's not knocking anything else, but it just had, I think, the best story leading into it. It felt like a match where everyone went in saying, you know, we really got to show up because this, you know, we're coming on first. And I don't think other matches really rose up. They were all great, but this match was fantastic. I loved the idea and building to later this week. Santos Escobar lifting up Bronson Reed, and it looks rough, but that's by design. It's a rough looking slam, and you see like the weight of Bronson hurting himself. Like, okay, I get this. I like this a lot. Creating more story from it. I like it.
Yeah, and go ahead, talk about what happened on NXT with it.
So in it, Santos had a really great promo where he goes, I know your weakness. Next time it's just me and you. And I was like, yeah, I like that. And he talked about like Bronson Reed's colossal, and a lot of his stuff is power. If he gets someone, he's gonna, bounce them. He's gonna yeet them. He's Keith Lee. But if you can move him, his own power and weight hurt him more than anything else, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. I thought it was
Speaking
really
of
good. Really
Keith
smart
Lee,
promo.
Is he injured, or did they just not use him?
So
we
there's
don't
something
know.
going on with him. We don't know what it is, but both him and Mia Yim have made several comments on Twitter at different times, more or less mentioning that there is, at the end of the day, there is something medical happening, and they don't want to talk about it till they want to talk about it, and I think that's completely fair. But that Keith Lee's doing what he can to get back. It seems more complicated than it sounds. It doesn't sound like, oh, I broke a finger just rehabbing. There seems to be something going on. And when they talk about it, I think it's going to be all the information, and they're just kind of playing it close to their chest. And I think it's fair. And I think it's all we need to know is that, he's not on TV, not because Vince doesn't believe in him, but because there's more to it. So
I like Keith.
Just in time. Oh yeah, he's amazing. He says, just in time does say in the chat, the crowd sometimes feels like a crowd that sat through multiple TV tapings. Yeah, it's weird. I think that this is one of the ones that did over-deliver, the MSK and Bronson Reed, and I think actually because of the opposite reason. I felt it had more story coming out of it than going into it. I felt like that they had kind of a surface-level story going in, which was still nice and exciting, but because of it, I felt like they over-delivered in the match because I wasn't expecting it to be that well put together and storyline driven. Like, I was really happy. By the end of that match, I was like, yeah, there's story here, right? But going into it, I was like, oh yeah, there's a little, they've had some conflict, but I didn't feel as pushed by it. On the flip side, we end up with Xia Li versus Mercedes Martinez. This match could have gone on probably another 15 minutes, and I would have been happy with it. I really liked it. I liked everything about it. It was a little bit shorter than I would have liked, but at the end of the day, they did so much stuff after the bell rang that I felt like it was probably the right move, because after those long matches, those 20, 25-minute matches, when the wrestlers pop up and they do this other stuff and they seem completely fine, it bothers me. I'm all like, you're not even tired from a fucking 30-minute match? Like, talk to a boxer after a 10-minute boxing match. You know what I mean? Like, they're gassed. So it's one of those things where I felt like it was just short enough that it was believable enough that Martinez wouldn't be struggling immediately after the match. Like, she did for a little bit, but she got her shit together, and then she goes over and confronts Mei Ying. And so I thought that it was put together well because of that too. And then the idea that Xia Li was able to get back up and interfere. I was like, yeah, I guess they wouldn't be just completely knocked out, right? Really cool segment, though. Really neat stuff. It looks like they said that Mei Ying has been risen, they said, or something. What do you think about all this one? We'll start with Amanda.
You know, this one, I'm really liking the fact that they're really kind of pushing this storyline, because, you know, those promos and those vignettes that we got before were just so great, and they were so mysterious. That's like, well, what are you gonna do with it? And now it feels like they now have a purpose with it. So it makes me go back and watch them. And I think that it's going to be very, very interesting how this plays out. And I'm kind of excited for it, because I could have used more match time, just like you.
Yes.
But everything was done with a purpose. And I think that for me, that was like, oh, now I want to see what's going to happen next.
It felt
I mean,
methodical.
I'm really, yeah.
And
really
for Xia
involved.
Li coming off as such a murderer, she
Yeah.
also was believably struggling. Like, you're like, oh, they're both fighters. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was pretty neat.
Mhm.
Klump, what'd you think about this one?
I was okay with the match. I honestly kind of wanted it to go on longer because I liked the match. I didn't like the stuff after. I thought it was a bit too hokey. I thought it was a bit too WCW. Like, just
Yeah.
I know what they're trying to do. I know how they're trying to do it, but just the way that Xia Li's manager ghost person through, I was like, that looks hokey as shit. I will say this, I really like the way Mercedes Martinez throws a chair shot, like how she throws her body into it and like steps through. I was like, that's real cool looking, and that looks like, I was like, keep doing that, that's really good. I just like how you step out of it, that looks great.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But no, I was not a fan of it. Like, okay, like
And
the ending part, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's totally reasonable, because I also think that I'm not surprised when people don't like aspects of it. One of the things I do like a lot about it is it's so different than the other stuff that we're getting, and I like that. I like that kind of refreshing. Oh, this is a different type of thing, and then really, I know that he puts an emphasis on the entertainment side of the sports entertainment, but for me, I've been really digging that side of things lately. And I don't always. I mean, I've definitely shit on some of that stuff before, but
When
this
it's done
stuff,
well.
it's just compelling enough for me to be forgiving of it as well. Because I do think that I don't think you're wrong at all in your assessment, Klump. I do think I'm very forgiving of it because of how compelling it has been to get to this point.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that they can't shit the bed as we continue. It's going to be up to them. They can either pull the nose back up and go a little less hokey, or they can really go all the way in and become so cartoonish that you lose us. But in this one, go ahead. I was forgetting.
No, I was gonna say, and you nailed it. There is everything going into it so far has been really well done, really dark. I've liked it a lot. It's been when they have it occur on stage, and you know the manager ghost apparition demon person attacks someone. I'm like, that's maybe your weakest point. You guys have. I've wanted them to go more Bray Wyatt with it and do more like computer, just like TV magic trickery because they can, and instead it's felt like Kevin Sullivan in the Dungeon of Doom to me.
Yeah, they were creepy.
Sure.
There was nothing on NXT this week though that had Xia or Martinez. Is that right?
Mercedes cut a promo.
Which is cool.
She did cut a promo. Yeah, talk about that.
What I liked was she was very full of fire with it, which was awesome to see that. And it's very hinting of the we're 1-1. We're not done. Just placing her claim on it. And I guess did she kind of, if I'm not mistaken, Klump, did she kind of call out Homeboy? That's with. I think she did.
Fucking yelled at everyone.
Yeah, I was like, you're gonna wrestle him? So I don't know, I'm confused by that. But I'm like, interesting. So it was enough. But if you watched version that was like, I don't know, like on Hulu. Yeah, that wasn't, yeah, you wouldn't have saw that. That was a cuttable one.
Yeah. But it was cool and it was interesting. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Let's see, because I just feel like we'll go back and forth between the NXT and In Your House until we get to the end of it, and then we'll just talk about the big news that all happened and the way it broke down, because most of the stuff kind of intertwines.
Yeah.
Let's see, and after this one was, to me, my favorite match of the night, LA Knight defeating Cameron Grimes for the $1 million championship in a ladder match, which I thought was fantastic. I know a lot of people were upset that Cameron Grimes didn't win the title. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Cameron Grimes winning the title, this $1 million title right here, does shit. I think it's actually really smart to put it on LA Knight right now. LA Knight needs that flair, needs that kind of push to seem definitely... He's been taking a lot of losses, but he's also an incredible wrestler, and he's a bounty head wrestler. The dude wrestles like he's trying to make money. So getting a title that's worth $1 million is 100% what he should be doing. And he wrestles like an elite next level wrestler. He is a pro wrestler's wrestler.
Yeah.
Cameron Grimes is a doofus who fell into money and keeps trying to spend money to buy the things he wants. I think we get to the point where Cameron Grimes takes the $1 million title off of LA Knight and LA Knight gets called up to the main roster. And I think this is how you get that feel good moment, is LA Knight gets that title first and has a run with it.
Yeah. That's fair. I had to laugh that, they showed him pulling up in that white Corvette. I'm like, really?
So funny.
Really? And everyone was like, oh, that old Lamborghini.
Well, I liked.
I was like, come on.
I did like LA Nate coming up in the old and I put in my notes, old Corvette, not like a classic, but more like I owned a property management company that did great. Did being opportune word, like it. It fits the tackiness of the $1 million title, the tackiness of the feud, the LA Knight character. It's just all the money and everything to look like it. So yeah, it's a 2009 base model Corvette.
Yeah, and he did show up with a Cohiba cigar. That particular cigar is about, depending on where you get it, you're looking at around $20, $20 to $25.
Yep.
So it's an expensive stick, as they say, which I liked. But what I thought was really funny about it is there's several different bands you can get with the Cohiba, the specific style of them all. He went with the one that was the same color blue as the shades and jacket that he started with. I get a feeling he bought like a pack of them or a box even. Now that he came out in red, I was like, you should have got the red dot because it has like a pure red band. But like, it's a very vibrant band, so it's like an easy spot, and it's like iridescent. So I was all like, oh, that's funny. He's got like the bright blue band, and he's wearing all red.
How funny.
But it's a really good stick, and it's an expensive one, so I like that bit. But the match in and of itself, I loved. I loved this match. Klump, tell me what you thought about it, because you agreed that LA Knight needed this win more than Cameron Grimes.
He did. I thought it was a great match. I love both of these guys. Mm-hmm. I think Cameron Grimes is on a whole other level than LA Knight. And
sure.
LA Knight is a fantastic performer, but Cameron Grimes bumped and worked like a motherfucker for LA Knight and just ran circles around him. Not that LA Knight was doing bad, but I was like, yeah, you could tell one of these guys is doing way better than the other. And at some points it felt like they weren't lining up because of that. I was like, I think you're trying to do things because this guy's working too fast for you. So there was points where I was just like, God damn, go Cameron Grimes. Yeah, LA Knight needed it because of that, because Cameron Grimes, he's so over.
Yeah. And
they finally turned him face, which works out here because him as the face is going to be great. He can still be moneyed and interesting, but I'm down with it. It was I would say it's almost tied with the 6-man tag for my favorite match of the night. It was that good just because of the weird spots, and it was also one where I was like, okay, they're doing things that make you go, wow.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And LA Knight has such a natural way of getting in the right position for stuff. When Cameron Grimes was up on that rafter and he went to jump down LA Knight wasn't just standing there waiting. He was kind of walking around, going back and forth. He gets in Ted DiBiase's face for a second to say something, and he turns around right as Cameron Grimes jumps. And he's just there when he gets hit. So it's like Cameron Grimes was doing something crazy. LA Knight came back to get him, and that's when he hit. Like, I thought he did an amazing job of just not standing there waiting, because that annoys the hell out of me. How many of them will just stand there and wait and look goofy? Because you're like, just move then. You know what's happening. So I thought he does an awesome job of all that. And I thought that this, like you said, Cameron Grimes is so over that of course people wanted him to win it, but that creates the perfect foil out of LA Knight. LA Knight becomes more evil than ever just for having it. Amanda, what do you want to say about this match? And then let's talk about what they said on NXT.
Well, again, this was probably my match of the night. Yes, I'm sad, but there is, to be honest, there was no loser in this match because both of them are extremely good. The one thing I'm going to piggyback on what Klump was saying was I've always found that Trevor Lee, when he was Trevor Lee, I always found that he was one of these ones that, yeah, PWG, he was kind of a jobber, but he worked that so well and made whoever he was wrestling really shine that, you know, it's like, wow, okay. Like you would think, oh, it's all this person. But no, I mean, he, you know, he'll take some weird ass bumps that look scary as shit. But, you know, I think that, I definitely think that it's got it. It serves its purpose. And I think I'm really curious to see what's going to happen next with it because they're not done. And, I don't know. I mean, I'm really curious with it. Is this going to be the thing that launches LA Knight to the main roster? Probably.
I think so.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Because I think that you can't have him around like the 6-year seniors, like a Gargano and, you know, and even Cross, like he's another one that's like that guy's going to go. Because I thought, oh, he's going to lose it and then he's going away, you know, but didn't happen. So that was, I know it went way ahead, but, you know, I think that, you know, there's a really strong case for that. And if I don't see people at the CWC or even at the regular WWE events that you see on TV or those people in the Thunderdome or whatever, if none of them are wearing that Cameron Grimes hat, you're stupid. I want one. I mean, I do. I want one. That's some good merch.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I think that this could be where we launch LA Knight, because I do think that in my mind, if I'm booking LA Knight, I don't want him anywhere near Karrion Kross or anybody in that fatal 5-way match because those guys are all so strong right now. I need to stay in that level. But do we need LA Knight NXT champion? What does that really look like long term with as crowded with 6-year seniors as you have? I think this is exactly where you put LA Knight in an establishing storyline. Give him this moment where he gets to hold that $1 million title, be important, be relevant, put over Cameron Grimes in the end for a really feel-good moment, and then boom, he's off to the main roster. He's only there for polishing. This dude's what else what are you gonna do for him that he doesn't already know? I mean, he's been doing TV wrestling for a long time. Yeah. And he's polished and good. Like, you're just here, this is finishing school for him. Yeah. Hey, just get him to look in the right camera at the right times, figure out how his entrance works on the side instead of the other side, and boom, move him on.
Yeah. It works. I mean, that's one thing that's great about him, at least. It's like, okay, yeah, you've got all of that, so you're good. You're good to go. But other people that are there at NXT, it's like they still need a little of these classes that they've brought up. They still need a little polish, you know. But
yeah, and some of them aren't going to fit well on the main roster. No. LA Knight will fit fine.
Oh yeah, he'll fit anywhere.
Fine on, yeah. Yeah. Producer, you had something you want to say?
Me, Elias, and LA Knight.
Elias and LA Knight could be a great match, or tag team. I don't know. I guess you go either way with it.
I want to see him and AJ.
Him and AJ would be great.
With the big tall dude, like him looking up, like, oh, you know, let me talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get to NXT. Let's talk about that segment. NXT comes out, LA Knight comes out after Ted DiBiase comes out, and he cuts this promo where he's being all heartfelt, and he's saying things like, "Oh, it means so much to me. You were an idol of mine." All those things. The crowd just shitting on him the whole time like a bunch of dicks.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to have like this heartfelt moment with Ted DiBiase, and then at a certain point he's like, "It'd mean a lot to me if you crowned me the champion." He slaps the old belt on his shoulder, and then he says, "Now that I got everything I want, I need to get rid of the things I don't need." And he starts beating the shit out of Ted DiBiase. Cameron Grimes comes running out, pushes LA Knight around for a second, goes to protect Ted DiBiase. I really like that camera angle where Ted DiBiase and Cameron Grimes are in the corner, and you just see LA Knight run back, slide just his arm in to grab the title, and walk back out. I love that angle, but here we had a moment where he was kind of teasing being a babyface about it and talking about what it meant to him and the emotional side of things. But the Smart Mark fans are too smart for that, and they want you to know that. It's more important that you know that than anything. And then he turns on Ted DiBiase, gets the booze. Cameron Grimes is a good guy. I think we're off to the races. I think we have another couple months worth of program between the two of them, potentially. And I think we end up with Cameron Grimes having that $1 million title at the end of it, and everybody's happy. What do you think about that segment? We'll start with Klump.
Segment I thought was good. I initially was like, "Oh, this is a weirdly sweet thing." I thought, like, is this going to be a double turn? You know, is LA Knight going to be the face? Is he going to go here? And I liked how he attacked Ted DiBiase. I will agree, I fucking hated the crowd because it just felt needless. Like, okay, calm your shit. And I loved Cameron Grimes coming out. I'm curious to see where it goes next, but I liked it. I thought it was handled well. I think it's a good title to put on LA Knight because it's a title that he could take to the main roster with instant credit or instant uniqueness, and
That's
it's smart
true,
because
too.
I feel like we're trying to fast track him. I'd put money on that if we're gonna believe, you know, any of the rumors with WWE and like it's booking for one person. That one person probably loves LA Knight. He is, other than being a few inches shorter, he is like the archetypal, like, big name marquee person.
Yeah. 100%. When I first
And
saw
they
him in
need
NWA,
talkers.
yeah. Oh, 100%. They need credible talkers, and he can talk. I do think that, yeah, when I first saw him in NWA even, I was like, this guy gives me big-time vibes. This guy makes me feel like I'm watching a big star. You know what I mean? Where not everyone else does that. You see people where you go, this guy's incredible, but there's a difference in star power with certain people, and I think LA Knight has that. So I agree with you. I think that if we're booking for one, there's no way that one person doesn't recognize this person's got that shine. You know what I mean? That it factor, as it were. Amanda, what do you think about that segment?
You know, like everyone's saying, the fans. And if I'm not mistaken, those were the same assholes who were booing and doing all their bullshit at In Your House. So I'm like, so that kind of tuned me out for a little bit. But it's like, where do you go with LA Knight other than to the moon high? Or, you know, he's got to go up. Moo. He's got to go up and away, because I think that, you know, there's a lot of people that are on the main roster that I think that you're gonna see some incredible matches with, I think. And especially because of, you know, his ability to be that kind of captivating talker is going to get him far up there, because they need someone like that.
He's got a way of not saying very much, and I hang on every word.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
He's similar to The Rock in that sense, where The Rock's promos were all very much the same, didn't have a lot of differences, didn't say very much, and you couldn't wait for each single line of it.
Yeah.
He's like the opposite of Bray Wyatt, where Bray Wyatt says a bunch of stuff and you're not sure what the hell he's saying, but you're completely drawn in as well. And I didn't mean opposite as in like the negative. I meant the opposite side of the same coin of captivating talkers where you just can't not listen. Bray Wyatt's the way where you're so lost in what he's saying, but you're with him. LA Knight's got that kind of The Rock thing where he's like, I don't think he said a lot other than he wants to win the match, but I'm hanging on every word of it. Like,
yeah.
So, well, I'm excited to see where they go with it. I really like that he's got that title on him. Like you said, it's the kind of thing where it gives him instant credibility wherever he goes. If he actually takes the title to the main roster, that could mean a lot. If he drops it to Cameron Grimes, that could mean a lot. Like, there's something to it. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it a lot. Let's see here. Raquel Gonzalez defeated Ember Moon in the NXT Women's Championship match. Let me start with you guys. Klump, what'd you think of this one?
So we're feeding Ember Moon to Raquel. Cool. Like,
it's kind of all it felt like, right? It was a little underwhelming.
Like, I get it. Ember Moon, or Raquel Gonzalez rather, we're establishing them. We're really working to build them as this force within the division that could be a force within the main roster.
Yeah.
But so could Ember, so could a lot of people. And in effect, what you're doing to me by feeding people to them, you're creating a lot of hands in that middle lower card that also would benefit every division. Raw, SmackDown, all that. And they're not going to have a lot of heat going in there. They're not going to have a lot of like talk behind them going in there. And then they're going to disappear again to NXT again or somewhere else again.
To me, it felt a little bit more like this did more to solidify Ember Moon as not being a world champion contender than it did to solidify Raquel Gonzalez as a legitimate threat as a champion. I felt like that Ember came in with a little bit of fanfare, happy for the return. She has like one match with EO, loses, gets in a tag team with Shotzi. They win one, they lose one, win one, lose one. They hold the titles for a cup of coffee, lose them right away within a month. And then now she's immediately mad at the champion and gets crushed by the champion. And you go, all right, maybe Ember's found her spot in there in that kind of like middle card echelon, like it really didn't make it feel like what a win for Raquel. It really felt like a solidification of Ember's not a world champion type. And I felt like that was kind of a bummer feeling that way at the end of it. She wasn't crushed in minutes. It wasn't total squash, but you never got to that moment where you felt like she might do it. You always felt like she was going to lose it. Producer, something she want to say, and then we're going to go to Amanda.
Yeah, I think.
No, wait. Producer first, and then Amanda.
Oh, sorry.
Dad. Sorry. I was one of the big Ember fans who was following her the whole time on Twitch when she was injured. So that whole year last year. Oh, come on, stop. So I think she's really great to her fans, but I got the feeling that she was not expecting to be able to come back, that she was really hopeful, but I don't know, maybe she wasn't getting great hints from her doctors or whatever, but I didn't get the impression that she was planning on it, because of all the types of streams that she was doing, a lot of cooking, a lot of gameplay, and I felt like when she came back, she didn't look as polished as I thought that I would have expected her to be at. But I still, had a lot of hope, and I feel like every time I see her, I'm not as impressed as I was her first run on NXT, and even on the main roster. Loved her on the main roster, even though I know she didn't get as far as we all had hoped. So I'm really hoping that something will, I don't know, maybe light a fire in her and really make her come back in the way that we remember her, I guess.
Yeah. Amanda, what do you think?
I honestly didn't see that there's any purpose other than to let's feed Raquel somebody. I mean, that's the impression that I got. And even from when that weird promo that she cut, that all of a sudden, where the hell did that come from? Because of all the melee. So I'm like, well, yeah, it's just kind of like, I'm like, what? Huh? And that's how it's still leaving me like, what?
Like it feels slightly forced, right?
Yeah, it's very forced. It's weird. And I'm like, what? Okay. I mean, do you feel it's like, do we not have like serious competitors that you want to put against like a Raquel or someone where it's like, I don't want to say almost believable, but something that's going to be of interest. I mean, everyone's great, but I mean, that was just kind of.
No, I think you brought up a good observation though that I hadn't thought about. That it kind of seems like there's no real purpose behind it, and if you as a character don't believe in your purpose or reason for fighting someone, if you're just given a script by someone else but you don't really believe it, maybe that just is coming through to us more than we'd like.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, it was what it was. Raquel's still the champion. She's still doing what she does. She looked good at the end of the day, and that's probably the most important thing to get out of this one. But I was a little underwhelmed, a little bummed out by that. Let's see, coming through real quick, getting the old air horn. An anonymous gifter is coming through, gifting 1-tier sub to the whole community.
Wow, thank you,
Woo!
Anonymous person.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers to the anonymous.
Little
I wonder
buddy.
if an anonymous gifter is their name or if you can actually gift anonymously.
You
I
can
think
gift
you can
anonymously.
gift anonymously. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I got you. That's
uh-oh.
interesting.
Don't
Well, I don't know how the
spoil
whole
it.
thing works. No. Like she can look up the name of the people who are in the chat, and there's no one in there by the
Oh,
name
okay.
of an anonymous gifter.
Yeah, but I don't know who it was
Yeah.
that did that.
Well, that's pretty cool. We're still learning, guys. This is only the first episode. It's episode 1. We're Wrestling on the Rocks. Every show is our first show. Twitch.tv/Wrestling on the Rocks. If you guys want to come in and derail the show with things like gifts. Well, let's talk about the last match of the night, and then we're going to move on to NXT, because I think we've already talked about half of it anyways. Karrion Kross wins the Fatal 5-Way for the NXT Championship. Let me start with Amanda. Amanda, what do you think about this match?
Well, it went how I expected. It was very choreographed. Thanks, Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, this doesn't look very natural because of that.
Yeah.
So that kind of threw me out. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're bringing down the big guy. But at the end of the day, we all know that, come on, Johnny Gargano. You're like a fucking zit on his back. He doesn't even know you're there. Okay. And he doesn't even care. So, it just was kind of hokey at the end of the day. Was it necessary? No.
Yeah, I don't feel like it did anything. I don't feel like we got it.
No, it didn't.
I don't feel like we're in a different spot. I don't feel like it's like, oh, this great rivalry is going to come out of it. I feel like
No,
it was just kind of a weird match.
I mean, like, honestly, like, when I look at it, I'm thinking to myself, I mean, there wasn't anything really spectacular with like him and Adam Cole. There wasn't anything really it was very interesting to see Kyle O'Reilly, really kind of go in and try to take him down, kind of taking out the legs because he's got big tree stumps. And, but it's like, whose purpose does this serve?
Yeah.
And
I mean, and Karrion Kross looked good at the end of the day, and I thought that was decent. But for the most part, for me, I was getting kind of lost in this match. Like, too much was happening too fast for me to give a crap about what was happening right before. If you just did 4 moves in a row, the last move's the one I remember. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, it doesn't matter to me. You guys were all like rotating the way you were. But I mean, it's like you said, to me, there was a lot of choreography. To me, it was a little underwhelming in that regard. I was getting kind of lost and checked out of it. You could clearly tell everyone was putting in a ton of work. And I don't want to take that away. These guys are working their asses off. But at the end of the day, I think they could have, I think less is more would have been a little bit of the thing here. Because by the end of it, I just wanted it to be over. I didn't really care who won anymore. It wasn't like I was rooting for anyone individually. And in that last hold, the final hold, and we'll go to Klump. where O'Reilly has Adam Cole in a leg lock and Karrion Kross has Kyle O'Reilly in a choke, there was a moment where I was watching it going like, yeah, I guess any of them. But I also thought, how cool would it be, especially because I've been saying it for a while, that Karrion Kross, I think, is too big of a star, I think, to be in NXT, to be honest. I don't think he fits in there very well. I think he should be on the main roster. I think he's fantastic. And I'm not trying to diminish anybody. I just think he's just that big that I think a big audience would be good for him.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, what a perfect out if you have O'Reilly, as he's passing out, have Adam Cole tap out. And so O'Reilly gets the win because Adam Cole passed out or like tapped out. And then you're rewarding this dude who's completely knocked out. Karrion Kross is completely screwed out of the title. And he's livid because he just choked out the dude who won. Karrion Kross looks stronger than ever. O'Reilly doesn't really look weak because he was in a position where he couldn't defend himself from the choke. He just had to accept it. And you had a clever way of getting the title on someone like O'Reilly, who's absolutely the type of person who could be the face of NXT, freeing up Karrion Kross to go to the main roster, where I think he'd be at home. Klump, what do you think about all this?
I don't remember a lot of this match because I was not enjoying it.
Good.
I viewed it as kind of a train wreck. Like,
right?
It. From that moment, it was like, I want everyone. Shit.
No.
This ain't gonna be great. Like, and I think that goes to what we talked about earlier: is NXT's feel like they have to be bigger, more grand, more amazing than anything else that has been made prior, and that doesn't work because in many cases the matches that I think of that stand out or are fantastic are singles matches where the performers made it something special. It's certainly not the street fight between Gargano and Ciampa. But it's a fatal 5-way. Okay. That's not great. And yeah, it was four people and a gigantic frightening monster. Like it made this is one of these is not like the other. Why are you picking a fight with him?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest loser in it all was Pete Dunne, because we're not even like, Pete Dunne was in that too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, that made me.
He
sad.
got lost. He was lost.
By the end of it, that's the other thing too. By the end of it, we had Kross, O'Reilly, and Cole, and Gargano and Dunne were out for how long, and no one even noticed. Like, they were just gone. There was no explanation on why they'd be dead that long. They weren't the ones who were thrown off of big rafters or thrown through doors. They just were like rolled out. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I guess they're done with their part of the match. Yeah. So I agree with you. The biggest loser in this one was Pete Dunne, because this is absolutely the kind of place where you could have shined. Yep. And you just didn't get the chance.
Oh, little buddy.
Yeah. Poor little guy. Prove me wrong.
He could kick both of your asses.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, that's not saying much. You know, a lot of people could kick mine and Marsh's asses, you and Amanda included. So, yeah, great.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I love
There's a
how
lot of
we've
people
now
kicking my
put
ass.
like the fear in people.
Yeah.
No.
What do you mean?
We haven't done that at all.
Not yet. No.
All I got
Yeah.
going for me is that I'm tall. I'm a 350-pound asthmatic. It's not hard. My best shot is falling on you.
To be fair, I did see Klump with a mask on. I hadn't seen him in like a year. I saw him with the mask on at a Home Depot. And I just knew it was Klump.
Yeah.
Can hardly see his face, but I knew it was Klump.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I know that shape.
I know that man. Yeah.
No, it's like a shaved large animal.
Yeah.
I look like a pear with hairy legs.
Well, and you walk like a ballet dancer, and it's fantastic.
That's
It's because I got little feet. I got really little feet, little ears.
Yeah.
No, I have.
Oh yeah.
I'm a size 8 and I wear like size 11s to feel better.
Oh
love
lord.
it. I love it. It's fun
Yeah, I
to
was
get
gonna say
stuff.
stuff. Oh.
Yeah. It's got like an extra roll of
That
socks
hurt.
in the front of it. Yeah.
Ouch.
I'm sorry they don't
Yeah.
make like
Clump's
shoes.
like, but wrestling, right? But wrestling?
wrestling.
No, it's Amanda. That's why I'm such a big fan of Tim's. His boots.
Yeah.
Steel toes.
boots.
Can't see. It looks great.
Yeah,
Looks good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Looks real good.
I get
real-
you. I get you.
So after the match, here was the weird bit: is typically at the end of these matches, you'll have celebration of the title holder, and in this case, Karrion Kross holds up the title. Scarlett comes out, she wraps her leg around him. They do this whole pose thing, and he's like, "Yeah!" And then it runs to the back with Mackenzie chasing down Steven Regal, who's crying, and she goes, "Regal, what's good?" And he's all like, "Fuck this place," and then he leaves. He says, like, this place is complete bedlam. And I was like, they all followed the rules. I don't know what you mean. You booked this match. Like, what do you mean? Nobody cheated in this whole pay-per-view. And he's like, complete mayhem and bedlam.
Yeah, where
Something
was that?
needs to change. Breathe me, Rogue.
Stop. Leave him alone.
So
Oh,
he's
Lord.
crying, and everyone goes like, what's going to happen? We'll have to hear about it on Tuesday. So we get to Tuesday. It opens up with
Dun-dun.
Steven Regal, William Regal. Man, how long has it been
He's
since he was
crying.
Steven Regal? And he's crying again.
WCW.
Yeah, why is he crying so much?
He just
He,
keeps
it
crying.
was. He did a good crying promo. I was like, damn, you did a good job.
I know,
Um,
but
it was
I'm
amazing.
like,
It was
I'm like-
amazing.
but why are you like thinking there's so much mayhem? I don't understand. Am I watching the same product, or did I?
That was
miss
the one thing that
something?
got me. It was the only explanation I couldn't figure out. I was like, okay, I get it. Where he's like, things got to change. I'm going to make a big change. Come in on Tuesday, see the change. But when he was all like, bedlam, I was like, they followed the rules. It was only the
Yeah.
matches you wanted.
You had to say something.
Nobody interfered.
Yeah, but that
There
a
was
weird
no
choice of
outside
words,
people
though.
getting involved. Like, there was so many other pay-per-views you've had with people just fucking up the end of all your matches. I just
Yeah.
didn't get that part. I was like, I don't follow you, Regal, but I see that this means a lot to you, so I'm gonna listen. Like, you know how like when there's like a kid who's crying about something, you're like, I don't know why it's important to you, but I can see that you're crying, and I know that
Mhm.
it is important, and we're gonna treat it as such. That's how I felt like. I was like, I don't know why you're saying these words, but I can appreciate that's how you feel, Regal. So.
Yeah.
You get here, he comes out, he does this crying promo, which is so good. And the whole time watching, I'm like, stop crying, you're going to make me cry. I don't want this. People were sending out their thank you Regal tweets, and it's been a long time. It's been good. He said 7 years. He's got that 7-year itch, as they say. Avoid the itch, they say. But he comes out, he cries. Karrion Kross comes out, talks some shit. Says, fuck you, old man. How about you get off my lawn? How about one of them's? It's about time you get on up out of here, because I'm going to beat the shit out of everybody. And Regal is like, you didn't have to say all of that. And then it happens. Bump, 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 bump. Joe, 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 Joe. Bump, 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 bump. Fucking Samoa Joe comes out.
Hell to the yes.
Regal's all like, I'm handing NXT over to Samoa Joe. And Joe says, Regal, no. You're not doing that. That's some bullshit. He goes, matter of fact, you're staying right the fuck where you are. And Regal says, yes, sir, sir, yes, sir. Because it's Joe.
I love
And Joe
your
says,
your
"But-"
little the way you're describing this, because basically that's what it was in a nutshell, and it was great. It was so
It was
this
amazing.
is so great. It's like those. Have you seen those bunnies? The ones that they had on Showtime that were a minute long, and they were like like basically telling you about a whole movie.
All right.
Well, no, they're on YouTube. But anyways,
All right. I believe you.
yeah, this is exactly what that is. And they were
Yeah.
entertaining, and they were great, and you totally got the whole thing. You didn't have to watch the movie. So if you've never seen Titanic, they do a really fantastic one.
I don't know why we're talking about Titanic. I'm going to get back to what I was talking about. So, so that's the deal. That's what we're doing. We're breaking it down. I'm letting people know this is what happened. That's how it went down. Regal says, I'm giving you the show. And Samoa Joe says, there's no goddamn way that's happening. Regal says, sir, yes, sir, whatever you want, sir. Samoa Joe says, here's what the deal is. Regal, you do whatever you want to do, and I'm going to be here to beat the absolute shit out of anybody who doesn't like you doing what you want to do. And Regal says, yeah, that'll work too. And then Cross says something. I don't remember what his word was. But he says some line, And Joe gets up in Karrion Kross's face and he says, "How about this, you little smart mouth piece of shit? I'll knock you the fuck out." And Rigo goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, you can't just beat the shit out of all of our champions." Because you will, and you can.
Yeah.
He said, "Joe, you can't lay a hand on any of these little assholes unless provoked."
They lay a hand
And
on
he
you.
goes, "Yep." And then Joe goes, "Let me write that one down." He just scribbles it on a notepad and puts it in his pocket. He goes, "I'm going to remember that one. You better fucking remember it. I feel like it's going to come back." He tells Cross, "Why don't you get to stepping, young champion?" Cross says, "Sir, yes, sir, I'm going to leave now." And as he's leaving, the crowd goes, "Na, na, 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 hey," which is a dick move. But they did it to be dicks. And Joe standing there with Regal, and it was incredible to think about the idea of Samoa Joe as a GM. What did we say when he got fired? He could be the next Paul Heyman of wrestling. He brings legitimacy to whatever he does. And I said then he could be a GM on any show. AEW would likely have a great use for him as a GM, I had said. The idea of him running and GMing for ROH is fantastic. The idea that he was a free agent, there is no way someone can convince me that his phone wasn't ringing off the hook from everybody who's in wrestling at all saying, "Joe, please come here." The fact that he signed back with WWE NXT, came back and is in that role, GM enforcer type role, I fucking loved it. Let me start with Klump. Klump, what do you think about Samoa Joe making his triumphant GM return to be an ass-kicking son of a gun in NXT?
I'm glad that he accepted less money and came back. Okay.
There's no way he didn't take a pay cut.
Yeah.
Damn, jeez.
There's no
Like,
way.
that's what's going to happen, and I think that's so shitty. But I'm sure it's like, yep, that's how we're getting you back. I'm happy he's back though. I don't know anywhere else he could have gone. If he was in AEW, like you said, that the only thing I was like, man, they'd fuck that up hard.
Oh yeah.
He'd have a better chance in New Japan, where most of the crowd doesn't speak English, and he would just like do fantastic. Like, he'd still be scary, intimidating. I'd love it, but no, I'm glad he's here. I like it. I'm excited for it. I think it's unfortunate that this is the best place for him, because I haven't seen a lot of the main roster shows in a long while. But seeing Joe go in as an authority figure there, it doesn't sound like it'd go well. You know, I don't know how you'd put him in. I don't know where you'd go. He'd be in around hour 47 of Raw for this week and not doing great.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Amanda, what'd you think about it? And then I'm going to hit up the chat.
I was completely blown away. I was, whoa, this is huge, because you called it episode 1.
That's a good point.
Yep, remember, we're the Nostradamus.
Nostradamus, that's me.
Hashtag Nostradamus.
Heard it here first.
Heard it here first. And, you know, and I was just like, holy shit. Because honestly, like, AEW would not, your buddy Tony wouldn't know what to do. 9 days, he'd ruin that man.
9 days. 9 days. We got Joe on Dynamite. Joe's going to be on Dynamite 9 days. And then he shows up on NXT. He's all like, 9 days. There'll be a different Dynamite.
They're going to sign, I don't know, someone else who was fired. I don't know. But anyways, so, yeah, no, I was thinking, if he did not resign, I think where he probably would have ended up would have been I think he would have gone back to Ring of Honor. But with Ring of Honor, since it's so kind of weird and, you know, they don't really have a GM and they don't do that kind of shit, it's like, well, what would his role really be? So it'd be interesting. I mean, I was in my wicked mind thinking, man, Brody King versus fucking Samoa Joe. Holy shit. That's a fucking, ring, you have to reinforce it like 5 times, you know. And
but he's in NXT. That's what we're talking about. But we're talking about how he's in NXT though. You're talking. Well, you're fantasy booking him like he didn't sign. He signed.
He did. I know. NXT. Yeah, no, I know. So
we locked him down.
That dream is gone. So
yes,
you know. But again, I hope we get Cross versus Joe. I really do.
They need
Well,
a
they
big
said he's not
guy.
going to wrestle. I mean, that's true, too.
Fuck that.
But it provoked. When he
That's
gets
some
provoked.
bullshit. That's
Come on.
I don't American Bash. It's Joe Cross. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah.
I'm shutting that shit down now.
He doesn't need to fight now.
Yeah, I believe everything Regal tells me. He said he's not fighting. Why would I not believe Regal?
He could
Unless
just threaten
provoked.
you.
There was
Can I throw one thing out that I really hope that this is like? There's always the legends of WWE like making storylines that mirror other promotions. Making fun of people or really doing it like with the billionaire Ted skit. I really hope that this is like a weird little shot at Tony Khan, and the idea is that just the idea if Joe went somewhere, all he would do is just beat the shit out of people and make it better, because that's all that Joe would do with Tony Khan. He'd just go there, slap the shit out of him, fix it.
I mean, that's true, too. When you think about just from a objective perspective, the AEW show has a ton of backstage segments of absolute pandemonium and nobody trying to stop it. And we'll get to a moment here where pandemonium happens and Samoa Joe says, no, that's not how this is going to happen, and just stops it.
Yeah.
So there is that degree of all like, what would happen if all this chaos is happening backstage and you actually have somebody who can just legitimately stop it all. So I agree with that. Let me see. Over here we do have in the chat, TW Takes Bishop does say word for word as far as my review goes of what's going on. That's what we do, man. We're trying to break it down for people. We don't want them to miss anything. Grim Reaper coming through saying hi. What's up? Cheers to Grim Reaper. He does say it's like when Austin was the sheriff. Yes. And Grim Reaper does also say, I could see a Johnny Gargano comedy spot with him bumping into Joe by mistake and then getting choked out. Bishop says, let that happen. And Grim says, I hope that's way down the line, though. Treat Joe and his role seriously. But that's just it, is we already got almost a teaser of the possibility of something like that happening. So I think that he can be both serious and choke out a dude in a funny way. And Grimper says, yep to him. And then Fabtina wants, have him injure Johnny off TV for a while. Like, just literally break his arm in front of the TV and break his leg like Sid Justice style, and then have people go like, why? But that's what we got. We got Samoa Joe back. Let's run through some of these matches, and then we're going to talk about Samoa Joe. Let's see. Oh, I mean, Breezango versus Imperium. That was fine. It was what it was. They did the flag thing, which I thought that might be a mockery of the whole Cody Rhodes a go-go thing. I thought that might have been a petty.
I thought that was.
Yeah.
Because that made me laugh, because it was all like, well, if we're going to make up shit with stupid flags, let's fucking just make this up too. Why not Imperium? If everyone just drape a flag over people. So, but I do think Imperium's done it once or twice before, so maybe not.
They lost that one too. That's a funny thing.
Yeah, they lost it and still did that, which is so good. But Kushida versus Trey Baxter. Trey Baxter, I believe, was formerly Alex
Blake
Zane.
Christian.
Is that correct?
No, that's Blake Christian.
Mm-hmm. Blake Christian. Had it mixed up.
Yeah.
What a tremendous match this was. It was what?
I did not like
it. It was rough? What'd you think about it?
I again thought like Kushida was really working hard, and I felt like they were. It wasn't. I mean, I shouldn't say rough. It wasn't bad, but I was like, this isn't great though. With Kyle like coming down and watching, there's a lot of little moments where I was like, they're lining up kind of weird. Like it just it looked a bit weird to me. Like that 450 splash, like that looks it looked like he under rotated a bit, or it just didn't seem clean to me in spots.
They could have slowed down. They definitely could have slowed down and had it a little tighter.
I think it was also the commentators were building it up, and I was like, I don't see what's so great about Trey here. I don't know what's happening. That's
I
just
also
me.
felt like it did a good job with, because Kushida's style is not a powerhouse. He is a guy who is so technical that his game plan is to wear down his opponent, no matter who his opponent is, which allows him to have believably competitive matches and still win definitively without making him look weak. Where there's a lot of people who will have incredibly competitive matches with literally everyone they're ever up against, but their style is not that of somebody who technically wears down the other opponent. I think that Kushida being such a technician, it works for him. It allows the other person time to shine. Now, as far as a debut goes for Trey Baxter, I thought it was a great debut. I agree with you. It's probably not the best match they'll ever have. It's not going to go down as a classic, but I thought, what a good opening to a guy like that. Amanda, what do you think about it?
Well, I've seen Blake Christian before, and he's always been one that when I first saw him, because he actually tagged with, actually, no, he didn't tag. He was in a match that Alex Zane was in, and I can't remember the third one. It was this bonkers, ridiculous match where they were jumping off of things and, that kind of thing. And I always thought that, like, of that group he was really kind of the underrated one, because he was very, very talented. And what he reminds me of if Will Ospreay was actually good and controlled, that's Blake Christian.
Yeah, but he probably needs to calm down a little bit, because I think Klump was right in that he was over judging stuff this time. I think he needs to slow down a minute.
Yeah, well, he's only been wrestling for about maybe 3 years. He's still pretty green.
Yeah, that's good. He's good for 3. But it was a nice introduction to him. I agree with Kyle O'Reilly being out by ringside. That was real weird to me. I didn't like that part. But I did like at the end of it, Kyle O'Reilly challenging Kushida for seemingly no reason. But I was super interested in that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. I'm down with this. This is okay. You made it up to me, because I was like, if he's gonna like say, Blake, you're that amazing, I'm done, and then I'm not watching anything, and I'm gonna be worse at this than I already am.
I'm barely holding it together, man.
Did you watch anything? No. Why? Because that.
Yeah, because O'Reilly. I hear you, man. I hear you. But yeah, I thought it was a good introduction to Trey. I thought that was a neat way to get to Kylo and Kushida, but it does feel like a lot of what Kushida's doing is just exhibition matches to help people get good. And what a better way to use Kushida. Hey, let's put a title on him so there's a reason for him to have an open challenge match every week, shine up somebody, and teach him some stuff along the way.
100%.
I think that's where their knock to AEW and that TNT title is, because that should be defended every week. And, Mira's been doing that, but before, I mean, that wasn't happening. And I think that's them saying, we can do this every week.
Well, and even, sorry.
No, I was saying.
But I was gonna say, even then, in those TNT matches, so much of AEW's matches end in some bullshit schmoz finish. It doesn't really matter if you're doing it every week. It's ending in these weird, frustrating ways. You can do so much better. And they're not,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is good. We did also have Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez defeating Casey, Catanzaro, and Caden Carter. I do think Casey and Caden, I think this is the best we've ever seen them. They really stepped it up.
Yeah, they looked really good.
Were we the only ones who thought that, Klump? What did you think?
The Cade match?
Yeah. We thought,
Yeah.
I'm not saying this was a perfect match, but it was the best I've seen Casey and Caden perform together, and I thought that it was just solid. It was just good. I don't know that I thought anything different was going to happen, but it just was a good match with not much to complain about, which I think was really
honestly
good. Does that make sense?
It wasn't a bad match. Yeah, it was just, I think this is such a shitty thing to knock NXT on, is like, I didn't really have a reason to buy into it. I'm like, okay, this is a decent match.
Yeah.
Like, it was, I mean, a fantastic match, given that so much of our matches with regard to the women's division historically in wrestling have not been great things. So they've come so far that I'm like, oh, this is okay. And it's like a fantastic women's match. It's like, okay.
100%. I don't think it was a match to be invested in. I was just objectively watching like a random exhibition and was saying like, this is good. These are 4 good women wrestling. Like, this is a good match. But you're right. It wasn't a match that I was invested in by any means. I just like, because I've been a fan of Casey and Caden as a tag team, it's nice to see them really tightening up each time they go out there. They are getting better and better each time, and that's all you can hope for. And I think that this is one of those ones where I had nothing to complain about in the match, and I thought that was a really good spot. That was a really good place to be. If you're going to have an exhibition match on that level, have it on that level. It's great.
Yeah.
Before we talk about that next spot, Bishop is saying in there, had Kushida won the North American title, he could do this with bigger guys too, not just cruiserweights. I challenge you to tell me how much of this NXT men's division is not cruiserweights. So you're saying he could have had a match with Karrion Kross and Bronson Reed? Okay.
What the hell? Oh my God. Bishop, what are you smoking in Delaware? Seriously.
I'm saying everyone there's at $180 or less, man. They're fine. He's fine. He can still have a match with the entire fucking roster.
Silent blonde guy. He's like 210.
Dexter?
He's like 210.
220.
That's true.
Yeah,
he's
LA
probably
Knight's
220.
230-ish.
Yeah, but he's also short.
Yeah, I mean he looks bigger. Like
Yeah, Cameron Grimes is about
looks
like,
big.
what,
He looks big.
220?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I think... Oh, and Bishop says as far as bringing in new guys, I'm not concerned about their new guys, man. Who's the North American champion? Bronson? Bronson can do that. Let Bronson have the new big guys. He wrestles like a good big guy anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, our favorites right now have belts.
The gold.
We got LA Knight, we got Bronson Reed, all the people we wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Kushida,
MSK.
MSK. Our
I mean,
faves are rolling.
It's kind of a stretch to say LA Knight's got gold.
He's got
He's
is
got
diamonds.
a made up ass title that is
He's got
gold.
diamonds.
But so Zack
Ah.
Ryder's the internet champion.
Okay.
You know,
What is he saying? I can't see it.
or was, or still.
He's saying that in the chat. Mike is coming through in our YouTube chat. Oh yeah, lots of fun. Yeah, I did a show with them. It was sporadically devoid. It's actually going to be. It's called In Kayfabe. It's going to come out in like a month or two. I'll let you guys know when it does. But we talk about in kayfabe stuff that should have in kayfabe legal ramifications. It is a fun time. So you'll hear more about it as we go. Appreciate you guys having me on and having a good time over there.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it more as we get there.
But I agree with Amanda there. Like, yeah.
Go ahead.
What were you saying, Amanda?
Oh, about the titles, like the internet title.
Yeah.
I mean, that Zack
You talking about
Ryder
the NWA?
has or had
Oh,
whatever. I mean,
you said the internet title. I thought you were talking about the NWA championship.
no.
I mean, at the end of the day, yes, all titles and trophies, when we think about it,
The
all
FTW.
awards are made up things for things. But like, it really is a stretch to be like, he's got gold. It's a I mean, it's slightly better than the modern FTW title.
Oh, yeah,
It's got
that's-
slightly more prestige
Let's
to
not go
it.
there. Let's
Got
not go
diamonds. Let's see. I did like the Io Shirai face off with Candice LeRae.
there. Yes.
Yes. Who was the person
me
that
about it,
came in
Amanda.
and helped out EO? Because I was like, I should know who
Zoe
this person.
Stark.
Oh,
Thank
Zoe
you.
Stark.
I don't do my homework.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
That's the gun show right there, dude.
Yeah, I was like, person with big arms. Who are you and why are you fantastic?
Yeah.
She was actually we first saw her through Thunder Rosa's promotion, Mission Pro.
Nice.
And that was the person that Marsh said, why is she not on TV? And a month later, she got signed.
Yeah. We were watching it, and I was like, there is no reason this person shouldn't be on NXT or WWE. She should be on a national level. What is happening? It's like, this is the problem. And literally a month later, she was on NXT. I was like, oh. Never mind. Somebody else was watching, too.
Marsh has occasional clairvoyance.
Yes. Specifically, Devoid was the name of that podcast. So. Yeah, no Struckus. But yeah, Zoe Starks comes out, and yeah, she looks like she could put you in a chokehold, and you're just done. That's it. You got about 3 seconds to get out of it before you're just gone. Yeah, she could probably bench press both of us, Klump.
I don't know. Both of us combined are like we're kind of world record setting. I'm assuming together.
Individually, she could bench press us.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah, probably. But the face-off I really liked. Io Shirai was saying a couple things like, hey, I'm back, bitches. And Candice LeRae says, fuck you. And Io's all like, nah, fuck you, dude. And then Indy Hartwell comes out does a couple little kicks to Io, and then Zoe Starks comes out and beats the shit out of everybody, and then they all go their separate ways. But it does make me excited. I really liked Candice's promo here. I think she's been coming off way strong. She's getting super comfortable out there, and I love it. Yes, and without the rest of the way in the way, she's fantastic and can shine.
Candice, Candice, the real highlight of everything there.
Yes.
Yes.
Just let Johnny and Austin Theory go bother Joe. So eventually
They talk
can
about
get squashed.
the Gargano way, but really it's just in the way. So
Just go touch butts in the locker room, guys, and then
Yes.
everyone else do their thing.
yes, absolutely. So before
It's
we
in
talk
a
about
fan
the
fiction, I'm sure.
I mean, I feel like the main event was in a weird spot just because the amount of other stuff I walked away thinking about afterwards, it just felt like an afterthought. So let's talk about the main event and then finish up with the rest of the Samoa Joe stuff, if you guys don't mind. Main event was Tommaso Ciampa, Timothy Thatcher versus Grizzled Young Vets. It was a fantastic match. I don't have any issues with it.
No, it was great.
It was just in one of those spots where it was unfortunately overshadowed by the importance of some of the other stuff going on in the show.
I think this could have been on TakeOver, and I would have been happier.
Yep.
Yes.
This was that good. It was a really fucking good match. And I just love Thatcher. He's evil looking and frightening in a scary, crazy way that, like, he's everything that I think they want Dexter Lumis to be, but more by doing less.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to have both Dexter Lumis and
For a long time, I interchanged them, but now I'm like, oh no, I just see Dexter Lumis, and I'm like, you're Diet Timothy Thatcher.
Yes. Yes. No, and they're awesome. Thatcher and Ciampa together are incredible. This match, so good. Amanda, what do you think about this match?
Well, first I want to address what right before the match that kind of got me a little excited was you saw Thatcher and Ciampa were, backstage, and there was MSK eating that popcorn, just like me, watching. And then when Thatcher came back and took the popcorn, the look on his face was just, I'm like, you don't fuck with shit like that. That was, I'm like, whoa.
Yes.
Like, yeah. I mean, I know, I almost called him his other name. I know that Nash Carter was he took my popcorn. He took my popcorn. I'm like, no,
he was amazing with the way he even pointed down. Was like, you dropped it. Like, so good.
Yeah, it was so good. And I'm like, okay, that's probably what's next, which I think is going to be pretty incredible because, I mean, look at what they do together and then what MSK does together. It's going to be a really interesting mix, and I can't wait for it. The match itself, again, it could have been TakeOver match, and I thought it was just outstanding because, again, you've got, and I'm very impressed with the Ciampa Thatcher pairing because it works so well,
Yes,
and
100%.
I'm waiting for a Toothless Tim shirt. So
Toothless Timmy shirt.
Yeah, Toothless Timmy. I want it.
I would truly I want them to make a Thatcher shirt of just his sneer, because it is like an utterly frightening thing. I'm like, how are you this scary? And this
that image they use.
If looks could kill, if looks could kill, he commits war crimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that look with Ciampa over top of Thatcher's face while he's like, you know what I mean? The entrance thing they had.
Fuck.
Terrifying.
That's beyond terrifying. That's like, I don't even know. That would make me leave the lights on when I.
Yes, exactly.
Mike is saying in the chat, let's hit the chat real fast, says Kushida versus Kyle O'Reilly could be match of the year if they are given time. Yeah, 100% they could.
Yeah.
It's a good call. This is definitely going to be one to watch. Definitely one not to miss. But yeah, go ahead, continue.
Could be. I don't think it will be. Not this time, at least.
Right. You could always have a good build. So we'll see. All right, so that was the main event. It was fantastic. Could have been on In Your House. Probably should have been on In Your House.
Yeah, yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And yeah, getting to MSK. You know, MSK versus Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa gives me like Usos and FTR vibes. Like the way that those two teams work together so magically, being so opposite styles, is what I'm kind of hoping we get out of them. Not to say that, you know, they're lesser than by any means, but think about the styles of MSK versus the ground stylings of Ciampa Thatcher. Most of the time I would say those styles don't mix well, but after seeing Revival Uso matches a few times, I went, oh, there's absolutely a way it can work out really well. I'm excited because I think these guys can go on a different level too. So
And also, I don't
let's wrap
think,
it up. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think that MSK had ever wrestled with Thatcher, because I don't think because where they would have done it would have been PWG, and I don't think that they did. It was Ring Conf, Walter and Thatcher, so I don't think that was. But that's where it's going to be very interesting to really see, like, you know, what's going to happen. I know there's going to be some great like chemistry. There's going to be some, you know, scary looks that Toothless Timmy's going to give us and all this other stuff. So I really, you know, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan if you like wrestling and don't like to shit on it.
Yes, 100%. Let's wrap it up on the couple of backstage segments we got with Samoa Joe. One of those was, what was his name? Gargano and Austin Theory coming over, saying how happy they are to have Joe. Joe looks at Gargano and says, "Get the fuck away from me before I kill you."
Yep.
And Gargano's like, "Yeah, I've already pooped. I might as well go."
Yeah.
I'm good.
I was like, this is amazing already. I love that Joe already doesn't like the ones I don't like. This is good news for me. You know what I mean? And then the other notable backstage moment, because they did that little interview in the back for a second where they talked about things and how things are going. But you had a pull apart in the back with Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, which, I'm going to be honest, if you guys go back and watch this segment, it is outrageously phony. No one's holding back anyone. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly are pretending they're being held back in a way that doesn't look like they're being held back at all. The stuff they're saying doesn't make any sense as far as where we're at in the story right now. The way that Regal was all like, that's it. You guys have had your unsanctioned match. You've had all your street fights. How about a one-on-one regular typical matchup? And they're like, fine with me. That's okay with me. I don't mind. That sounds good to me. Like, what the fuck? Like, they completely lost all anger. And then they dive over the people who's not actually holding them back. It was just so weird and goofy and phony. But then the moment that Samoa Joe shows up, shit got real fast. Joe goes over there, pulls Kyle O'Reilly away from Adam Cole, shoves him up against the fence. Adam Cole runs over, slaps Joe in the chest to push him back. Joe looks at his chest like it's covered in gold because he's like, that looks like provocation to me. I feel like I'd done been provoked. Takes off his coat, walks over to Adam Cole. He pushes the security aside, which I loved. Walks over to Adam Cole, pulls him up into a choke. O'Reilly runs away in fear and terror, chokes out Adam Cole till he's completely lifeless and dead, throws him on the ground and says, and you tell him when he wakes up, Regal expects an answer. And Regal's looking at the dead body of Adam Cole like, looks all right to me. This was so dope that the first person that Samoa Joe gets physical with is Adam Cole, that he tells Gargano to go fuck off, and that he chokes out Adam Cole, making him look like just a pipsqueak. Man, I loved all of this backstage stuff with Samoa Joe, and I couldn't be more excited about NXT with Joe as a figure. Klump, what'd you think about this?
I am pumped if this is what we're going to see. I totally want to see Joe beating the shit out of everyone. And I was like, I'm waiting for somebody to fuck up. Oh, cool. We're going to feed Adam Cole to him. I'm down with this. Adam Cole, sorry about. And he sold it so well. And I think it speaks, I didn't see it as a bad thing for Cole. Okay, yeah. you have somebody you're establishing as like a main face and figure in the company or on the brand, fuck it. Let's give Joe like let's give him the Joe.
Yes. I think what it also did is it solidified Joe as being bigger than the roster in a lot of senses, which is good as an authority figure. He's not afraid of carrying cross. He's already put out Adam Cole. He's told the Golden Boy, Johnny Gargano, to get the fuck stepping. He's showing an assertiveness as an authority figure that I don't care who you are, where you are on the card, or what your history is, you listen to me now.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking fantastic to me. Amanda, what do you think about it?
Well, I just thought the first thing that came to my mind is, God damn, like Joe is just plowing through people that Marsh doesn't like. I'm like, who would be, if he had a third person that he would have had to like just not having it with, who would it have been? Marsh, I'm curious.
I'm looking if you could have choked out one more person on my behalf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who else in NXT do we need choked out? I mean, Austin Theory wouldn't have bothered me one bit. Gargano would have been nice to see him do it, but he already kind of told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah, but you love that, so that doesn't count.
I don't know, because to be honest, for the most part,
There's
the
really
Way is my
isn't
biggest
anything.
issue with it. There's not a ton of people on there I really can't stand to watch except for the Way and Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Like Adam Cole, I'm completely not about at all. The Way I'm completely not entertained by in any way. And the rest of the roster is doing stuff that has me interested. So I don't think I need him to beat the shit out of anybody else. I mean, he'll keep doing it, and I love it. But, anything else you want to say about it? Did I lose someone? I'm definitely not hearing anything.
Man, I might be coming back in a sec. No,
Amanda stepped away.
But for
Klump,
me,
anything else that you want to say about it?
No, I think I'm myself. I think I'm good for the show in NXT. I think it was a solid week, though. Honestly, kind of feeling spoiled by it all because I feel like I'm not liking, like it just. It's hard for it to live up to what it was, but that's okay.
Yes.
It can fix it, and this was a fantastic way of building over that.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, we all build a tolerance, right, as we go, or become numb to stuff as you get going with it. So the first couple times you see these incredible matches, it's like, this is amazing. And as you get more and more matches of a similar caliber, you go, well, yeah, it's not as good as the first fix, right? That's how heroin works. Wrestling is our heroin. So we're getting to a point where we're feeling a little bit, like you said, a little bit cheated in the spoils of it. You know what I mean? Like, It's so good that it's hard to say, like, I feel like I did the first time. But it's only because it's just still this good, which I think is awesome. And having Joe back, I think is tremendous. I think that it's an interesting conversation to have. And I don't know why people aren't talking. They're talking about Joe being back. But I'm not seeing a lot of back and forth about what does it mean that Joe re-signed with NXT as opposed to going anywhere else. Because there's no way he didn't have those opportunities. It could also be that when he was released, they said, we need to release you from the current contract you're in because it's just not where you are. You're not one of those types of talents anymore. You're not going to be wrestling. But we want to let you know that as we send you your release papers for this, we do want to begin immediately negotiations on how we keep you in this company in a different way. Sort of like how we talked about before. We don't understand contracts. I remember I told you I don't think it's as simple as just saying, well, you're just on a different contract now. It could very well be because of that. Hey, well, we have to terminate the contract at some point to begin negotiations on a different contract, because I do think that there's verbiage in the contracts based off of what we heard about Monday Night Wars and all that you can't negotiate a new contract while under a current contract. So it could also be that they have to abide by their own contract stuff, right? Who knows? Contract tampering and all that. Could you theoretically contract tamper within your own company on a contract you wrote? Maybe. I don't know. I don't understand contracts. You see what I'm saying, Klump?
I agree with that, yeah.
But I am curious, and I want to hear him interview and talk about it, and I want to hear him shit on every other company in the world because I'm WWE for life.
Finally openly admitting it.
Hell yeah. Hell.
Why did we?
Yes.
Why didn't we make you the person who has to cover AEW? Because you're that. Like, I mean, you are Like you are the WWE mark. Like it's unfair that you make me, who was kind of passionate about AEW, be suffering and hating it now. We should have made it your job.
You know, I was
Then you
gonna.
could-
I didn't make you hate it. They did that. I said, "Oh,
I
you'll be
know.
watching it anyways. You can just tell us what you think," and then they did what they did.
Yeah.
Well, no. To be fair to this, you know, when you hear somebody who's like, just it just doesn't do anything for me now, and a lot of that ridiculousness, it does kind of like, even with me, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I'm like, why is Dark and Elevation better? Ugh. But I can see why. It kind of is a Debbie Downer. You're like a Debbie Downer when it comes to AEW now.
I just don't talk about it now. I don't watch it. You know what I mean? Like that's why when you're talking about it, I just let you go on it, and I'll poke fun at it. But I poke fun at all the shows. I poke fun at Raw
well,
too.
tomorrow we're gonna see the consequences of what happens when Ricky Starks bitch slaps Brian Cage.
That I
That's
thought
not
was
gonna
good.
look
I really
pretty.
liked the way that Brian Cage just walked away from his match and just marched at Ricky while he's scrambling away. I saw that
Yeah.
clip and thought it was really funny.
Hashtag tiny suits. I love that shit. But the pearls, it just. Anyways, but I mean, like, there's been a lot of really good shit. That I think that they're kind of trying to get away with, go away from some of this ridiculousness, because
Good.
I think that, well, right now, I mean, they're obviously hinting at a program with Matt Hardy and Christian, and I'm just kind of like, are you trying to like salvage your viewership because your viewership has been stinking lately? Especially when, I know they're forced to be on Friday because of the NBA, but still, it's like, you haven't shown us anything that I think is really, like, oh my God, it's not even a normal thing. It's like, okay, when you've got people like, I don't know, when you're pushing hard on like that Cesar Bononi guy, or Ziggler Light, what's his face?
Well, I was
Nick?
speculating. Yeah, I was speculating that it's very possible that a number of these wrestling companies, not excluding WWE, are starting to get in a repetitive pattern or a less important storytelling kind of pattern, because I feel like that we're right on the cusp of having fans back. That I feel like we're back to where we started, where they originally started the pandemic in like a holding pattern where like nothing's happening, but they're waiting for fans to come back. After a while, they all had to give that up and say, well, we just need to move forward because we can't just not do shows. And now we're back to a point where it's like, well, now the fans are actually really close to coming back, so maybe we do hold off on a number of things so we can have fans for them. I think we're starting to get back into that. So I think we're starting to see a little bit of less important stuff, smaller things. Like, I think it's across the board in wrestling, to be honest, not just AEW on Fridays.
Yeah, well, I think too, like Jericho made the comment, like he thought it was really great that fans were singing his theme song, and I'm like, okay, you still kind of had a lot of those people in the front still, so shame on you, shame on you, Tony Khan. Okay, like, let me tell you, if I go to one and I ain't in the goddamn front row, then we're gonna have issues.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I know enough people in that roster.
Amanda, any final thoughts about AEW and NXT this week?
Well, one of my final thoughts is, I think that maybe, Marsh, 1 week, give it a shot, or I'll watch a YouTube one and say, hey, why don't you check this out? See what you think. Because now the YouTube shows are shorter, which is great. So I'm loving it.
Shorter now.
Cutting
Definitely
off a
got a
half an
hand
hour
in.
here and there. Yeah, so instead of me watching, 6 hours or 7 hours of AEW a week, it's nice to have 5. Trust me. Yeah. I see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Absolutely. I'm on board. Klump, any final thoughts about AEW and NXT?
NXT won this week.
It's fine.
That's my final thought. I'm
It's been winning.
Yep. My final thoughts are Joe.
Yeah.
Joe. Having Joe in the wrestling world is all that matters at the end of the day. Every
fair.
moment of Joe not on wrestling TV is a moment wasted. Guys, let's bring this one home if you don't mind. We're going to wrap up this episode 1 and get ourselves ready for the next episode, which will be episode 1 again. This episode was brought to you by newwave.co, New Wave Coffee, and OOWAVE.co. Flow State Coffee, specialty grade coffee with L-theanine and raw cacao for productivity and creativity. Worth a shot. Really good stuff. Promo code CHEERS for an additional 10% off their already ongoing sale. They're just giving coffee away at this point. Don't forget, on Sunday, we have a watch-along. Me and Bishop from Terrible Wrestling Takes are going to do a Terrible Wrestling watch-along joint venture for Hell in a Cell, minus one of the Hell in a Cell matches, because apparently Roman and Ray is happening on Friday. So we'll see. It might be hell to watch Hell in a Cell if the only Hell in a Cell we get is Bobby and Drew in a cell. That's just my pre-thought. But guys, is there anything else I'm missing here, producer? Anything else we needed to put over? I think we're all right. Klump, I'm glad you're back. Always excited to have you. We'll see if you get enough money this year to go ahead and buy yourself the official AEW replica belt, so you're not using that weird knockoff I got you a while back. But I think
it's got character. It's got character.
Amanda Jane, thanks for coming back as always. You can find them at Crybaby Klump, one word. You can find Amanda at Amanda Jane with a Y. I am at Ref Marsh. We are at WOTR the show. This is Last Call. We'll be back on Tuesday for episode 1 again. Guys, last call.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.